humans interfacing with computers
for their own entertainment. The very notion disgusts me.
Look upon my works, foul creatures,
and weep at its magnificence.
Welcome, everyone, to the latest episode of The Testing Room, where three of the gaming industry's best video game consultants, who are lucky enough to still apparently have a job in this industry, bring you new topics each and every week. Yeah, I know, we don't really have a job in this industry. But we do. As always,
hey,
my
we got
name
a sponsor.
is... There we go. My name is Alex, a.k.a. The Godfather.
I'm Christian, a.k.a. Pseudo45.
I'm Preston, a.k.a. Funkadelic Jedi.
Also,
You know,
I have a
I'll
second
tell you-
a.k.a. actually, really quick. My second
Yeah.
a.k.a. is staunch supporter of the person who bombed Phil Spencer's camp in Fallout 76.
Yeah, you got nuked.
I will say, I think the reason why we're still okay is because we are not making top tier content. Apparently, if you make top tier content, you get fired in this industry. But
True,
we,
that's what it is.
Just to get
we
Yeah.
are middling right under the radar. So put us on the level of those Starfield devs.
Yeah, and
There we
remember,
go.
there was a joke that we said at the beginning of this podcast where we were like, "Oh man, you know, we always have a number to be bought." Clearly not anymore, because if we give you that number, you'll just close us. So never mind.
Don't get
you
bought.
can't buy us.
Yeah, don't.
Not
don't
even
get-
if you
Don't
tried.
sell your shit unless you really don't care about it. Put it that way.
No. Insane. Travis, friend of the show, listener of the show, been on the show before. He sent me an image that Xbox on social updated their image, like updated their actual like picture, and now it's the Xbox logo, but it's just red and black instead of the green and white. It's just straight red and black. It's like, are you
To say that, like, the blood of the people that you just murdered, like,
I was gonna say you fully become the Sith and the Empire. Like,
know,
what
that's
are
what
we
it
doing
feels
right
like.
now?
Jesus.
For those of you who don't know, Microsoft is dissolving a bunch of companies, and one of them being our game of the year of last year, Hi-Fi Rush. That Tango GameWorks got dissolved as well. So it's big
Yeah.
hurt, big sad. Sucks.
I'll be
Fucking
interested to
sucks.
see what happens. Yeah, before we get to Preston's comment corner and actually kick things off today, I just want to say I'll be interested to see what actually happens with Tango, because like,
Well, they're
that-
gone now. Like that company doesn't
well, no,
exist.
well, they don't exist under Microsoft, right? But like, people have come out in the industry and they're just like, what does this mean? Like, you can make amazing quality games, you can be profitable, and you're just fired, right? Like, so there's a lot of pushback from people in the industry. I would just, maybe they are gone and maybe they go to other studios, but Christian and I were talking about this the other day. If I were a lead at Sony, I would call them immediately. Hey, don't send your shit back. Don't leave your office. Show
We
up
wanna
tomorrow.
hire-
Yeah. They won't do that.
You are ours now.
They're
No,
too busy. They're too busy pressuring Arrowhead to fire their community manager.
The wording that was on there from the president was, we're spread too thin. They need to consolidate so they can use those resources to beef up their other companies, like calling like peanut butter spread too thin. Like, first off, fuck you for calling your employees peanut butter, and expendable peanut butter at that. Secondly, someone like Tango GameWorks should have gotten that build up, right? They were
wrap them up in your Microsoft, like their
Well,
new
dude,
Microsoft
they
studio.
were getting
Just
ready to
wrap 'em
pitch
up.
a new.
Yeah.
They were getting ready to pitch a sequel, and they wanted
and
to hire
asking
more
for it.
people.
Yeah, more people.
And
they're like,
when
no.
Microsoft was like, "Oh, you want more people? Well, I'll do you one better. You'll get no people. Goodbye." And then they erased them. Honestly, Sony's not going to do it. If I was the people at Tango GameWorks, I'd be reaching out to Shinji Mikami's new studio, the one that he formed a year ago when he left. And I'd be like, help a brother out. Like, let me.
You know, he knows people in that company are going, okay, well, I'm definitely going to hire you if I got spots open. Yes, he's definitely.
Yeah, like, let me come work for you, and then we can make Hi-Fi Rush 2 at your place, and let's fucking make bananas money.
Could you imagine shadow dropping a game that became one of the top 10 games of last year, if not top 5?
Well renowned,
right?
Nominations and
According to
awards,
everybody,
all
like
that.
across the
They
board.
won a fucking BAFTA.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, and like, you were such a tight game, you caused people to sign up for your service, and then when you launch on other platforms, you sold like gangbusters, and they go, hey, we want to make a sequel to a service that is in a weird spot right now because your actual exclusives seem to be flopping, and your pipeline looks a little iffy. So you have a guaranteed hit on your hands, right? If you came out with Slap Hi-Fi Rush 2, unless like early reviews came out and everybody bombed it for no reason, which would not happen, you have a certified hit. You're going to make money. And you go, nah, instead we're just going to fire you all. Like, what a crazy decision that is. Man,
Insane.
late stage capitalism, baby. We saw it happen with the Nat Geo Discovery
I
acquisitions
kinda-
and everybody
I kinda-
they cut.
I just want to say, I really find it interesting. Oh, by the way, I just want to put it out there. I canceled my Game Pass subscription because
I will
fuck
be
Microsoft.
doing so. Yes.
The same reason for different reasons, but the same thing I did with my PlayStation subscription a while ago. I just canceled them both. They're done.
To be fair, I'm not really using it that often, anyways. As far as like online services, like outside of Game Pass.
Yeah.
Like, outside of Game Pass, I don't use it, and even then, I can pay for.
But I just think
$15.
it's so funny that Sony, had all this bad publicity and continues to have more bad publicity, and everybody was really focused on them for a while, and Microsoft has been in for months now, been in a position to be able to sort of just be the good guy and like take the spotlight and
By doing nothing.
by
being
doing nothing.
quiet.
But all they do is just open up their car door and just continually slam their dick inside of it, just like over and over again. And it's like wildly insane. It's truly, honestly, there should be a masterclass done on how badly to fuck up your public image and use those two companies as an example. And meanwhile, you have Nintendo coming out amidst all of this drama, and Nintendo was like, like coughs into the mic, is like, by the way, the Nintendo Switch was the most profitable thing we've ever done in our company's history. It's beaten out the Wii, the Super Nintendo, the NES, everything. So that was really cool, and we're really happy about that. Also, the next console we're going to do is definitely going to be the Switch 2, and we won't announce it at the next Direct, but it'll be at the one after that. See you guys.
That
and
was
then
my
peace out.
favorite one. That was my favorite one. They said, hey, the next one will be the Switch 2, and we'll definitely announce it this year. It's not going to be at the next Direct. Like, just
Yeah.
don't. So before you ask any questions, it's not going to be that. I don't know what to tell you. It's not
And
gonna
then
be
peace. See you guys. This has been really fun. Sorry about whatever else is going on the internet. That's crazy. And then they leave. And that's it. And it's like, I still am infuriated with Nintendo on all of their choices for everything that they do. But man, also
The most
shout
you-
out.
the most you can
also
say to
shout
them
out
is
to
like-
you.
The most you can say to them is like, please give our other IP
Please.
that's just sitting back there some love. And they're like, no, we're just going to do another Mario. And you're like, well, the last Mario was actually really good. So, I mean, okay, can we get there? They're like, no, you can't. It's like,
No.
okay. But that's the worst you can say, right? Like,
Yeah. I know. Or that your infrastructure is stuck in 1993. But other than that,
As far as
Yeah.
like the Sony and Xbox stuff, I saw, unfortunately, funny like video Instagram reel. I don't know if you guys shared it on the Instagram or if I saw it on my own. I can't remember which one's which, but it's.
well, kind of rude if if it was funny and you didn't share it to us. But
I mean, sometimes I see things
Yeah.
that I don't have.
I
don't
share-
think-
I share
don't
everything.
I don't share.
yeah.
So this was Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, and one of the hobbits are sitting there. It's just
I sent it to you. Yes.
Christian- Okay,
Christian
okay,
shared
okay.
that today.
Everyone else that doesn't see it is
Because
great
Christian and I have a lot of time on our hands, and we're very funny. So
it was very good. So I saw that, and it was the Hobbit guy being the Helldivers people, and be like, yeah, it's like the
It's
Mordor
Merry,
Tower.
yeah.
Mordor Tower falls down. And they're like, yeah, we did it. Sony's going down. And then it's just Xbox being the fucking Mount
Mount
Doom.
Doom.
Yeah, the background just exploding. I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like Xbox closes 4 studios, and then it's like,
Enjoy your little win, guys, because these big corporations, they'll fuck you any chance you get. So
it's
wait
amazing
for
too
it.
with like Sony like came out and said, "Hey, we know everybody loves Helldivers. We're as we've talked about on the show before. You know they're looking for ways to monetize, and they're like, we came up with a great one. We're going to require you on PC to link yourself to a PlayStation account." And the community revolted. Yeah, community revolted, right? And like the players won.
Well, the community manager went out and suggested.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "Hey, look, the only way for Sony to be able to hear your voice is to review bomb it." Like,
yeah, and
That's all I care about. Yeah.
it's Sony, and Sony was like, "Oh shit, like we can't do much right now. Like we are the bad guys." But what do you have? Microsoft riding on the white horse, spam like, "Hey,
just
Sony, I got
hey,
you.
Look, guys, over here," and then slams the door on their own dick.
They did it, and then Sony is like, "Perfect. Now we can go fire that community manager." And our news is like the tiniest, because we only fired one person, and he just runs a community forum. They fired entire studios of devs that make great games. So like,
Yeah, and
really
the nice thing is that
here?
Arrowhead is in that weird like second party kind of deal they used, like the same one they used to have with like Housemarque. So Sony can be like, Arrowhead fired him. I don't know what happened. Even though it's like, yeah, you definitely looked to Arrowhead and said, if you don't fire that motherfucker, we're gonna bury you in fucking things. And
they're pissed.
so Arrowhead was like, well, we gotta get rid of this guy. You know, thank you for your service. Fucking, I hope you get another job very soon because you.
They probably literally gave him a thank you for your service. I mean, that whole game is based around.
And he said
freedom.
When he left, he literally said, he was like, by the way, just so everybody knows, when I got fired, it was involuntary. I did not want to be fired, but they fired me. And so it's very clear what happened there.
Also, if that is not the most like Helldivers thing as well, like you're in a game about like just late stage capitalism, people like corporations running America going out and just like bringing freedom to places on their own accord, and then have that happen to you if you don't just sit back as a community manager and be like, we kind of told you it was coming, you know, like that's on
and they
us.
were like, yeah, guess what, good luck finding get fired, and good luck fucking finding a job again. Now hopefully there's an indie like company or somebody who would love that kind of community person.
Maybe we can hire. Maybe we can
right away.
Maybe we can hire that guy as a volunteer to run our socials.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey,
Until you find something.
look, we cannot pay you anything. On the flip side, you're also currently not getting paid. So if you're bored, reach out to us.
It's not hard.
Not hard.
Mm-hmm.
We'd love for you to run
Who
it.
actually want to be community. So.
All right, Preston,
Comic Corner.
feel free to take it away.
Before we start up the majority of the Comic Corner, I'll have a comment. Just so you guys all are aware, Preston is making a move. So as you will see, things will be disappearing from shelves. You will see more boxes because I have a small apartment currently. So in case you're curious, that's why it looks like, you know, someone's kicking me out of the apartment. They're not kicking me out of the apartment. I'm just saying. I got boxes happening.
You're
yes.
kicking them out. They're not kicking you out. You're kicking them
myself
out.
out because fuck this
Yeah.
place.
I'm kicking my ass.
I didn't have hot water all day yesterday, and they told us that it's going to be intermittent, and you might not have hot water for a second day, but we should get it fixed tomorrow. Fuck this place. I'm out.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to take a
That place
shower. I'm
sucks.
like, that's the cold water. I'm like, I'm going to do dishes. That's cold water again. I'm like, send them a message, no response. Next day, got a group-wide text to the whole apartment complex. Hey, guys, so 2 of our little hot boilers have been leaking internally, so we got to get them fixed. We'll let you know when it's fixed. That's not what you say. You get it taken care of. And you replace those boilers. But not going to replace the boilers. They're going to repair them because it's cheaper, and they'll do it every couple of years.
Nice.
Either way, as per usual, Preston's Comic Corner is sponsored by the Comic Headquarters. If you're looking for a trade paperback or hardcover, the guys over at Comic Headquarters can help. Even if they don't have what you're looking for, they'll offer to order it in for you. Visit comichqstl.com today, where you can contact them and order that trade paperback or hardcover that you've been looking for. Or give them a call at 314-433-5449. Let them know that the testing room sent you. You get 10% off your order. Went out there for Free Comic Book Day. Got to see Jake. Got to hang out with John. Got to see Brian Atkins, the lovely gentleman who did our D&D artwork. Got to go say hi to him, thank him for his service. Super cool guy wearing a Kirby shirt. What's up? And yeah, it was a great time. Super busy, but still got to spend a little bit of time with Jake. He helped me find some comics here and there. A little pick I got from that week. Marvel is doing a new event. Like DC, there's about 2 events every year about we're getting everybody together for this big villain or whatever the fuck is happening. Blood Hunt is the newest one, and I got this really nice art germ cover with Tigra, and it looks really fucking good. I really wanted this cover. I'm gonna love it. It's gonna go up on my wall when I get another wall.
So cute girl and a cat lady. So cute girl with a tail. What was... Did Jake like preemptively pull one to the side for you?
No,
or, like,
I saw
did he show you? Was there
post
like
on
you
Instagram.
grabbed it? Like what?
No, I saw Archer post on Instagram, so I tagged Jake in it and said, "You need to get this for me." And then if I didn't say that, if he would have saw that and didn't think to text me, we would have had a conversation. But he would know better. He would know better. He knows I like Tigra.
We would have had a conversation.
We've had a conversation, but he knows I like Tigra. If he would have saw that,
He knows I
Archer,
like kitty girls.
You're not wrong. But yeah,
I know.
hit him up. Otherwise, we do have a comment from last week's episode from that same lovely gentleman, Jake, aka Odin. Here we go. It's so hilarious to me that Alex is talking about gibberish in regards to Brandon Sanderson's books when he knows damn well that high fantasy, a genre that he proclaims to love, is always like that. Every time, everybody timestamp this episode for whenever Alex reads The Way of the Kings and comes back on this pod to say it's one of the greatest books he's ever read.
I feel like, okay, so first of all, before Christian even gets a chance to defend him.
Oh, he's not done. He's not
feel
done.
like,
Hold on.
I know. Don't cut him off.
Comment's got to go. Yeah,
Gentlemen took time to comment. Let's not cut him off. This series has breathed new life into high fantasy genre, and I'll be as bold as to say that it changed me. Also, the second book in the series, and best book in the series, delivers the coldest line in all of fiction. You guys know I wouldn't say these things if I truly didn't mean it. Also, Preston, thank you again for waiting in that line to get my book signed. It meant the world to me. Heart. You're welcome, buddy. Anytime.
I feel like he took offense where no offense was there, right? Because I said I like high fantasy. I said I bet if I read them, I would really, really like them. I made those comments, said maybe I should read them. But all I said was, as a bystander who hadn't read them, it sounded like gibberish. It was funny to the anecdote.
But I told you.
But I did not shit on the books at all.
And I told you
I said I should read them.
When you described it like that, I was like, well, you already know it. You're about to get roasted, and you know it. You're like, no, it's because it doesn't matter. I know you are. Because, and it's because, and I'll tell you exactly what Jake was thinking. Your sentiment might be true, but that was unnecessary. You didn't need to fire off a random shot like that. You could have just been like, I didn't know what they were talking about, but it sounded like normal high fantasy stuff. And I guarantee you, Jake would have been like, yeah, it makes sense. He hasn't read it. But when you call it gibberish, you're like, hey, why are you taking shots? No reason to take shots. Don't do that. And so now he had to check you. I'm
gonna have to preempt stuff when I'm playing Halo with Jake. Be like, look, man. So this week I had to lean in. We did it for the bit. Did it for the bit. Don't hate.
And he's like, oh, don't worry. I'm still roasting you. It's just for the bit.
I know. Yeah. No, I said last time it's probably very good, and I should read them. But it was funny. Those books came up at trivia last night. Not in trivia, okay. Just with a group of friends. A group of friends we were there with. Yeah. And we were just talking about like. It was some random trivia about like, oh, we should go to, Star Wars trivia. We're like, that would be fun, but we've been to themed trivia before, and we've been to Harry Potter trivia. We did good. Like, we get into the top 10 out of like 63 teams. But when they do trivia, it's just the most
I'm surprised
random
Allie didn't
stuff.
fucking smoke that whole thing.
Oh, dude. I mean, you're pulling from books. You're pulling from like actors in movies. You're pulling from like it's not just like basic Harry Potter.
I know, but I'm just I would have assumed that Allie would have been like crack her knuckles and been like, all right, come at me, scrub lords.
She would have had a better chance if it was Lord of the Rings trivia, right? Because like
that's
you and her, like that's the deep knowledge.
I know. If her and I were in, we'd clean up.
Yeah. And we also go to a place at trivia where, like, the same two teams always win, and one of the teams has a legit Jeopardy player on it, like, person that's appeared on Jeopardy multiple times. Yeah. They always win. So, like, what do you do? And the other team has 12 people, so also, like, what do you do? Which, by the way, sidebar, 4 to 6 person max at trivia should be
Yeah, it
what
feels like
should be a
cheating.
standard rule.
It feels
should
like
be
cheating.
standard rule. 12 people, ridiculous. Anyway,
Yeah.
but yes, we were talking about that, and those books came up, and that trivia anecdote came up, or I'm sorry, our C2E2 anecdote came up, because I was like, that's how I felt during the trivia. Like, you're pulling stuff from books. It's such deep lore. Like, I just look around going, none of this makes sense to me. I don't.
And you're like, get this dork's books out of my face. Fuck this guy.
Oh.
No, I was fine. Preston was the one about to throw shoulders. Preston
With
was
someone else has nothing to do with the books. I was very nice to Brandon.
He comes by his side and goes,
As your
he goes-
personification of Jake.
Yeah.
As he walks by and he
Jake.
goes, thank you, Jake, for your note. You go, oh yeah, and Brandon, let me talk to you about this little punk ass right over here doing your trivia, because I have words.
Tell your friend he needs to shut his mouth while he's getting stabbed on the way out of here.
Yeah, tell your friend to watch his fucking back.
So anyway, Jake, I'm sorry. I really do think I would like it.
Yeah.
And I will read it or start the series. But yes, when you just come in, if you come in a series that's high fantasy with that much stuff, and you come in the middle of something, it all sounds like gibberish. Game of Thrones, same way, right? So,
Don't talk
Anyway.
about Star Wars, yeah. All right. Yeah, that's it for comments.
Sweet. I'll go into my week really quick because then the end of it will lead right into Alex's week.
Okay.
Because we did something together today. So the only game I've played is Euden Chronicles. I've been playing it while watching the NBA playoffs. It's great. It is exactly what I was in the mood for. It's a very old school JRPG. You can tell that it was written by the dude who wrote this Suikoden series. It just exudes that sort of energy. It's fucking awesome.
Looks great.
I've really enjoyed it so far, and the combat's super fun. The only other game that I played on top of this week was a little game called Final Fantasy XIV.
No, you play that game? You don't play that game.
I know,
Why would you play that
and normally I would have skipped right by it since that's what I did. But Alex and I have made some fun progress where
we made progress. I don't know
Yeah.
if the fun's the right word.
we both finally finished because he went and played it without me, asshole. We finished the yokai event, and so we grinded out all of that dumb shit. And I will never ever think about or look at a yokai ever again. Thank you very much for making this horrid event.
You want to know the most upsetting thing? The 17 minions that I collect and the 3 mounts that you collect. I know we both got both of those things, but like we care about different things. We'll never use any of them.
No, but I have them so that if somebody's like, "Oh, do you have this obscure buff?" But yeah, I do. Don't worry about it. Bam, I got it on my face. And that's because I have a disease in my brain that makes me do that. Anyways, so then I got that done, and then today we were thinking about things to run, and I was like, man, we're creeping up on Dawn Trail. I really want to get my fucking really cool tiger mount from doing the deep dungeon stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, we gotta get it done. And Alex was like, well, dude, we're fucking hanging out. We got nothing but time today. Let's get it going. So I was like, all right, maybe we can get a group going. Then I was like, oh, right, you haven't done the first 30 floors, so we got to take you through that. I was like, but
Not
hopefully
true. You said you haven't done the first 20 floors.
I know,
I
and
said,
then I
let's
forgot
do
it was
it.
the last 10, so we did it. But then part of it happened, and I was like, well, maybe we can get a match party going, because for those who don't know, it's 100 floors. You got to do all 100 to get one little token. You got to get 4 tokens, so 4 total clears to get this mount. And before you can start doing that, I thought it was the first 20, it's the first 30, but you can matchmake with people for those first 30 floors, and then after that, you have to find 4 people and do it that way. So Alex and I tossed ourselves in matchmaking, wait about 20 minutes, no one fucking joins. And I was like, well, this makes sense because everybody who's already wanted to unlock this thing has already unlocked it. So they're not really running this part. They're just running in with their static group of people. So I was like, well, fuck it. I'm super high level. You'll be getting in. We can 2-man this thing. Let's go. I was like, fuck. Someone soloed it at this point. So let's do it.
Yeah,
So-
someone else soloed it, so we should have no problem.
We can duo it for sure. And we didn't have an issue.
We did
Except there was plenty of times where the game felt like, so for these deep dungeon things, it's like totally separate mechanics that are completely, they never use them out anywhere else in the game. There's like random buffs and debuffs that happen. There's all sorts of randomness that they toss in that it's just very fun to deal with. And Alex and I got real slap happy by the end of it because we just kept getting fucked in every...
Would you... I don't know that I would call the one slap happy. I got real quiet there.
Yeah.
And almost...
So the last one, I was gonna say the last one. There was one. We got to floor. It was like 26 of 30, which is what we were trying to get to the end of, and the game just was like throwing everything it could at us to stop us from progressing. And so like we opened up the floor, and it was like. It shows a debuff as soon as you open it. It's like blind, so your attacks are gonna miss randomly. It was like, cool, thanks. And it was like, by the way, the gloom has spread through this floor, so enemies are stronger now. You're like, oh,
Great.
cool.
Taken too long.
So we start doing that, and we're just one by one. We're just picking enemies off, and we're like, okay, we're it's slow progress, but we're getting there. Now in this, there's all sorts of different enemies, and all of them, not all of them, but a good chunk of them, let's say 75% of them, have instant kill mechanics that if you don't pay attention to, it will wipe you, and if you wipe, that is it. You're going back to whatever floor you started on. So, and they go in increments of 10, right? So, and every 10 gives you a checkpoint. So you can die and keep going, but you have to, go through it. So in this particular instance, we're at 26, and if we die, it would send us right back to 21, and we'd have to, keep going. So we're picking off all these enemies one by one, and then we're dealing with all these different one-hand mechanics. Now, sometimes what the game will do is spawn in the middle. They might not have been there originally, but as you're progressing through the floor, a patrol will spawn, and it will just start walking through the area. So if you're in the middle of fighting a really tough enemy, and then this patrol happens to spawn, and like off screen, and then it starts walking in that thing, if it's in front of you, it will pull itself into the fight, and then it will join the fight, and you have to keep going. So we get into a room that's got like this one little robot that doesn't move, that pulls you in and then smacks you and can one hit kill you. And then there's a dragon that has this move that does a cone, but the cone is like infinite. So unless you are immediately to the side of its face, everything is a death zone.
Forever.
Other than that,
Go forever. Yep.
And
In any room.
then-
It could be.
yeah.
You could be in another room, and if it sees you and shoots that cone, or you run away, it's still going to hit if you're not out of
Yeah.
the way of where the cone would
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, you're dead. So, what Alex and I are in the middle of fighting this little robot, and we're like, okay, we're dealing with him, and then we look, and there's 2 dragons that come in that have that instant kill thing. And we're like, whoa, we're like, okay, we're panicking, and I was like, okay, we have one of these things that reduces everybody's health down to 1. I was like, so if I pop that, we can instantly try to wipe them really quick. So I go to throw it down, and as I throw it down, their move pops off. So my animation completes that I threw it down, but they killed me, so the effect didn't go off. So it counted for using the item, but didn't count for the actual effect, which was very cool of the game to do.
Sucks.
So then I was like, Alex, you have to press that button or it's going to kill you. So he does it and kills them. And we're like, oh, man, phew, I can't believe we made it out of here. I was like, okay, all you have to do is run back to the beginning and touch like this little pylon that revives me, and then we can keep going. So what happens to Alex? He walks out, and immediately to his right, bam, 2 more dragon patrols, and he's like, oh shit. Jesus. And I was like, and we don't have any items, so he's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna try to run back to the pillar, forgetting that, and this is where that point that Alex dropped earlier, is that cone goes on for infinity and keeps getting wider. So he's like sprinting, trying to run back, and the cones go off, and he just gets fucking murdered, and we get sent right back. And I'm like laughing. I'm like, oh, this fucking game. I'm so pissed. And Alex, dead silence, does not say anything. Pissed. And I'm like, oh, did I lose him? I'm not sure. And then I see the duty window pop up, like, let's get back in there. But he still hasn't said anything. And I click confirm, and I was like, I start laughing. I'm like, dude, the silence and then that notification is fucking killing me. And I start laughing even harder. And then I just hear, we're in the first floor again, or the 21st floor again. He goes, video game? And he's like, shit, like, he's so mad. There was plenty of moments like that, but we did it.
That was the last time I think we wiped too, because we'd wiped like 3 times before it. So there's some like random bullshit as well.
Yeah, so we got done with that, and that was fantastic. So we got done with that, and then we made a joke where this is where we were talking about, this was the kind of situation that we wanted, like, Travis to, like, when he was going to boost and hop in, and then same thing with you, Preston. But you were like, no, I want to experience the story and I don't want to skip, which Alex and I have always said is the good idea, because it helps you learn the game and prepares you for some of these crazy mechanics that can pop off and you don't feel totally unprepared. And so Alex and I made a joke where he's going to talk to Travis, where he's going to be like, yeah, man, so Christian and I finally got everything unlocked for that deep dungeon, so we got to get you to do that. It's really difficult. By the way, just as a heads up, if you don't listen to my every command, I'll kill you.
It's brutal. It was fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's done. Not done.
Yeah. Now the real grind begins. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I was in my second mentor roulette today, and I'll explain it just really quickly. Mentor roulette is something that you unlock after you get 2,000 basically thumbs up in the game, and it tells you that, and it pairs you with players that need help or are new or whatever. The problem is that most of these players aren't aware that they've been placed into this queue. So when I join, they're not aware that the game has put me with them. They just are like, oh, it's a random person. But it's not the case. And so a lot of the times, like, you try to be helpful, but most of these people are not the kind of people that really feel like taking advice or want it, or maybe they've boosted and they're just like, fuck you, you don't pay my sub. And that's who I got today. And I was like, you know what? After it was like the most infuriating run I've ever been a part of, and I was like, oh, this is why only 200 people have gotten this achievement. It's because most people unlock this roulette, they do it a few times and they go, oh, no, I'm not subjecting myself to this.
If your help's not wanted, why do you want to be there?
I like my theory better. I think what it is, which is actually could be a legit theory, I think you can blacklist people. So, like, if there's people that don't do a good job, if you don't like playing with them, you can just say, I don't want to play with you. I think this roulette is where those people get sent to. So when enough people say, like, I don't want to play with you, like you're just a bad player or maybe you're toxic or whatever, I think they get sent to this roulette. And you're always going to have somebody to play with because you have those other shitty people and the incentive of these mentors to get paired with you. That's my theory.
I don't think that's necessarily wrong. The difference is that there is tons of sprouts in it too, and sprouts are new player, and they haven't been in the game long enough to be toxic yet. So I don't think, I don't know that it's only. I think it's probably a mix of both. But you're probably not wrong. There is probably part of that in there as well. So yeah, so that was that, and that was my week. That's all I did.
All right.
Yeah. So mine. I mean, I've been pairing off of you. I also played Final Fantasy XIV. We are getting close to Dawn Trail. I'm fully back in the game, as I have been for a little while. But we're getting close to, like, new content, because I'm down to doing, like, it's cleanup time, right? Which is, like, the perfect time to do it, because it's not just, like, a new expansion. It is a new expansion, but it's a whole new story. So I've gone back to my Blue Mage, which is a limited job that only goes to level 80 instead of level 90 like everything else. And it doesn't play like normal, so you can't just, like,
it can't go into a bunch of different content either.
Yeah, you can't queue up for dungeons like you normally could in a roulette. You can't do the main story quests like you normally could. You can't do trials like you normally could unless you partner up with other blue mages. But you have to do that, like, manually through Party Finder, not like in just the in-game, like, group up. And it's also interesting because you don't have a storyline, but in other class storylines you get skills as you do the story content, right? You learn more about your class, you get more skills. The Blue Mage is interesting because when you kill certain enemies, you can learn a magic ability from them. So where you might have like 30-ish skills or 40-ish skills in a normal class, I can have up to 124 of spells that I've learned from enemies all across the game, which is actually really, really cool. But it also makes you super overpowered, right? So like you can't be in there with normal people. Like I got in a main storyline quest with somebody the other day because they're like, hey, it's taking too long for me to queue for this in the quest roulette, and I can't get the one that I need to finish, which is like Castrum Meridium. So I'm here in Party Finder. And I was like, yeah, I'll group up. Not paying attention. I grouped up as a blue mage. And I was pulling all the aggro away from the tank because I was like insta-wiping people. Like I was instantly clearing out mobs before they could do anything. And the boss just like wouldn't know what to do. It would like target the tank with a tank buster and be like, but I actually should be attacking this person over here. So it's very broken, but it's very fun. So I've been doing that. And then as Christian just said, the deep dungeon, like we are very, very strongly in the like clean up what you want to do before the new content launches. I almost have all the gear that I need. I'm very close to that with all my characters. And I'm up to 251 minions.
No.
I think there's only like 300 active in this game. I have so many, so many minions. I don't know what I would do with them anyway.
Alex?
Oh,
He gone.
yeah. Am I?
There's 250 minions bogging down his internet.
That's exactly what it's doing.
Oh no, I'm still
Well-
here.
There he is, I think.
Oh, yeah.
There he is.
Hello. What's crazy? I was here the whole time, heard everything you guys had to say.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah.
Okay.
On my end. Yeah, nothing dropped on my end at all.
That's because those minions
So.
are bogging down your internet, dude.
I know. That's weird though, my internet didn't even drop. That's crazy.
It's probably Discord.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, it had to be Discord, because everything on my end is fine. You guys, me, and all of it. Anyway. So yeah, I played that game. And then I did some dabbling. So I dabbled, other than the game that we beat for the book club, I dabbled in some Hades 2.
Yeah.
And man, I hit early access. I just went ahead and paid for it because, like, what's it matter if I pay for it now or pay for it later
You're gonna do
when
it
it
when
comes
you're
out, right? They're gonna get my money. It's great. It's just as good as the first one. I know people have said in certain areas there's some story content missing and some artwork missing. It is early access. I did not run into that, probably because I didn't play enough. I have not gotten a full clear in playing it, which makes sense. It takes a while. But they've done a really great job at building on what they did. So, like, the character's interesting. It now seems, instead of just... And I think they showed this in the trailer, too. But instead of just going for, like, some of the Greek gods, you're going for, like, the ones beyond, right? Like, the Titans above the Pantheon. So, like... That's all cool. The new character redesigns of some of the characters you know from before are all look great. Everybody got more abs. Don't know why, but they're all jacked now. And they have new things. So in the first game, just goofily, you could fish and collect fish for whatever reason. This game, you can fish, you can mine, you can do a few different things, but all of it gives you specific currency to do different spells and other things. But they do it in a really nice way that it's not, at least as far as I played, it's not crazy overwhelming. You're not like, why am I doing this? And what the game does really good at is, like, you don't just find yourself farming, right? So it's not like I'm going to go in a run and just farm for nodes. It's not that at all. It's I'm going to go in a run. Some places might have a node that I can mine. Others won't. Maybe I'll run into one fish encounter. Maybe I won't. But it's like, if you have it on you, cool, do what you need to do. But that's not the point of every run, right? So do a good job at balancing you to say, this is the game, go play the loop. And when you're there, like, there's some stuff you can do.
And the best part is, with Supergiant Early Access, they are known for, like, they listen to feedback. They're a lot like Larian in this way. There's a very good chance that everything Alex just described does not make it into the final product.
Yeah.
I mean, like, character designs will probably stay, but
Sure.
Supergiant does not give a fuck. Like, they will, if it's early access, it's like, yeah, you're playing the game as it is right now, but, like, you're also playing it while we develop it. So if we decide, like, hey, this feature sucks, poof, it's gone.
Yeah. Which will be interesting to see because, like, I'm one of those people that I don't like to have to worry about a bunch of regents to make stuff, right? And like for me, it might be one of those things where like I might just not make a spell, if once I think, and I haven't gotten this deep into the game yet. A lot of things with this is like once you unlock it, it's always yours. So it could be the same way. In the last game, they didn't really have spells, but they had like lockets or tokens you could carry around, and once you build a bond with a character, and it was kind of the same thing. But yeah, so far, game's great, plays great, looks great, sounds great. It's exactly what you know from the first Hades, with a new character and great.
I saw your D&D name, your role playing name in there. I was watching Miss Mika play some of it. There's like some dataless hammer or whatever that part of your upgrade system or something like that. I'm like, I know that name. I know that name.
Nice. I haven't run into that yet because again I'm just like trying to do a one complete run, so I haven't met all the characters. I haven't seen all the weapons and whatnot.
I'm excited to play it. I'm definitely gonna get B-roll for this, but like since it's got the family share play, I'm like, let's jump in there and just have a night of it probably.
Yeah, the only complaint I have about it, and it's not about the game, it's about the console which I'm playing it on. The first game I played on Switch. This one I'm playing on PC. Actually, I played the first game on everything. I have it on Steam Deck. I have it on all of it.
Sure.
But I'm using a controller to play on PC, and right now I have a staff which does magic, and that's kind of what you start with. But my best runs were like when you get like dodge. Essentially, you would dodge forward and attack at the same time. Usually, like when you land, you'll create an AoE. So what you find yourself doing is spamming like the B and X button at the same time. Like blah blah blah. It's a little harder to do on this controller. I've noticed like those dodge attacks, are harder than that little dinky switch. That's like everything's so close together, I can just smash those things. So it'll be interesting to see how my gameplay has to adapt to the controller. But otherwise, the game is great. Beyond that, I think that's it. And then I put a lot of time into actually like finishing the game we're going to talk about here in a bit. So
Sure.
Yeah, I guess my week.
All right. Well, I'm going to put something down here because I almost forgot to talk about it. There we go. All right, so I'm playing more of Tales of Kenzara Zhao. I've been mispronouncing that whole name. But that is how it's properly pronounced and said. But yeah, still a great game. Story is 10 out of 10. Like I'm getting choked up here and there because it's Dead Daddy things, so it's hitting home for me. It's pretty good. I've heard, on some podcasts that people had to put it down for a while because it hit them so hard. But it's very sweet. It's very good. It's about dealing with all this kind of shit, and it's just told in a fantasy way through the father's story of this more magical fantasy world. But it's been great. It's been getting a little bit harder. It's still during times like, okay, well, this is pretty straightforward, pretty simple, but I can't say I never died on a boss. I can't say that I never died on some type of platforming puzzle. It happens. It just doesn't happen as often as Super Meat Boy or Guacamelee has happened to me, but it's still, there's some challenge to be had there. I finished off on the first boss. I think I'm about to hit up the second boss. Boss battles are very cool. They're very different. I've been enjoying it, and it's just, like I said last time, beautiful color, beautiful art, great story. It's definitely worth it. You guys should definitely play it. Once I'm done, then you guys can just play it wherever you want. Other than that, doing more catch-up on The Force Unleashed. Again, want to reiterate that game needs to be played on console. I don't know what it is, if there's latency or something like that with it, but everything about that game feels definitely better on console. That being said, it is an older game. It's not the perfect action game you've ever played. There's still times to where like I'm fighting guys and like in the middle of my combo there's like block hits you, and it's like there's nothing you can do. There's no like responsiveness to like, oh, I want to cancel out of this action and dodge real quick. Like, no, you committed to the combo, you're staying in the combo, and now you gotta watch yourself get punched in the face. That is just gameplay decision that I don't agree with. I like action to where like can kind of cancel out of things. Parts of the combo need to go fast. I can do a whole combo that's big and long and takes a while. But if I see actions, if I see them about to attack me, I should be able to somehow get out of that and then go do something else as far as dodge or parry or whatever. And there's no real parry. There's no like, blocker really. I mean, it's kind of a block, but
that's every Dark Souls game, right? Like you go to do something, you're like, oh, I've committed. Oh yeah,
and
this is gonna go bad for me.
Yeah, and there's things with targeting as well, like targeting items, like because in this game, if you've seen it, like you can pick up rocks or whatever fucking things around you to throw at other objects, or you want to lightning this guy, but like it's kind of just deciding on what you're aiming towards. and you might not be able to do the proper thing you want to do. It's little things like that that kind of just irk me, but overall, still a very fun game. I'm about to caught up. We'll be ready for Sunday. You'll have the VOD later on this week on the youtube.com/testing room. Otherwise, hit me up on the Sundays mornings, twitch.tv/testing room pod. We'll be playing through that. Once I get done with that, which should be next week or the week after, we will then start up the nice, long, and great playthrough of KOTOR. I'm going to look into some mods to see if I can get to look a little bit better, go through it that way, and we'll be playing on the PC. Unless I get to a point to where I'm going to do a little more research just to double check myself, because I'm pretty sure PC was fine, but I only want to go through some Reddit dives, go through some Steam community dives to see if there's something wrong with the Steam version of this game.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So I'm a little worried, but I might just start on console just to have it. But like, I wouldn't mind a little up-res, like, remastered version. I know the Switch got a little bit of a remastered, but I mean that thing probably looks just as good as it did previously. So I'm not too not want to jump on that one. So, but that'll be next as soon as we finish that one. Also, I did a little dabble as well. I was sitting there, I'm like, I had like less than an hour before I wanted to go to bed. I'm like, I don't want to go to bed right now, but I kind of want to play some. I got my Steam Deck right here next to me. I'm like, okay, well, I wanted to look up a trailer just to see if I would want to put my wish list a little game called Mini Shoots Adventure.
Yeah.
I got the demo downloaded, so I started playing that. Was this like a Steam Fest game for you? I can't remember, Christian.
It was, yep.
So it's very, very Zelda, old school Zelda-like, top down. Going through different areas, going through mines and stuff like that, kind of exploring the land. But instead of Zelda, or Link, if you will, I am playing as like a little space shooter, or like a little ship shooter. So it's very much like it reminds me of like Pixel Junk shooter kind of deal.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
movement feels great. The shooting feels pretty good. There's differences on like the difficulty as far as how do you want the shooting to go? Do you just want to do it like pure old school, like you aim in the direction, that's where your bullets will go? Do you want it to where the aim is like, kind of slowly go like float towards enemies? Or do you want your ship just to automatically shoot for you and all you have to do is move around and dodge things? Which I think is great for people who I like those kind of games, but like they get a little too much for me as far as the bullet hell that happens. And for you to focus on shooting things and dodging all that onslaught of bullet hell can be a little much for some people. Sometimes it can be for me as well, but I just go back it again, kind of focus on it and get through it. But it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. I'm going through the demo. I'll probably end up just paying for it. I do want to finish up of Tales of Kinzara first before I actually deep dive into it, but that was just a little taste of like, will I like this game? Guess what? Answer's yes, and it's a fantastic Switch game. So I can't wait to get into
Steam
that
Deck.
after TL. The Steam Deck, Steam Deck game.
I'm sure it's good on the Switch too, but
I'm sure it's great on Switch, if it's there. But yeah, it's definitely once I finish Tales, I will be going into that. Other than that, like I mentioned, Free Comic Book Day happened. It was a lot of fun. After that, it was like kind of like a part Mother's Day, part me visiting, so we went to a whole bunch of stuff as far as Tower Grove's Farmers Market was a lot of fun. But then I took the family out to go see it, because I haven't seen it yet. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Went to go see the new Ghostbusters movie before I left theaters. It was good. It was a fun time. I think I liked the last one, the Afterlife, a little bit better. This one was it was really cool.
I've heard that.
Yeah, it was really cool seeing them go to New York, be in the firehouse, dealing with the mayor, who is Walter Peck. I don't know if you know him, but he's the guy they called Dickless in the first movie, the guy who was trying to get them shut down. But
yeah.
And even like in one of the scenes, like they'll be talking, it's like the mayor was in there and like the Ghostbusters are outside. There's a big crowd around them, and there's someone in the background of the crowd that just goes, "Hey, Dickless!" And I got a little giggle out of that. But what I thought was really cool is seeing Winston. Obviously, he's like an entrepreneur, if you will. Now he's got a lot of money, but he has like this Ghostbuster Corpse division to where they're doing tests on all sorts of like different type of equipment and all that kind of stuff. I thought was really fucking dope. Doing tests to see how I can better trap ghosts, because obviously the containment field that they have in the firehouse is getting a little full. So they didn't like have any foresight to kind of see if like, hey, we need to expand. But he's like, oh, I got this whole other place now. He's like, this is where we'll be putting ghosts, and there's ways of going about it. But yeah, Kumail Nanjiani's in there, very very good. I enjoyed him. All the original cast outside of Harold are in there, playing their parts, which is great. It was a fun movie, but like I said again, I did enjoy the Afterlife a little better because there's a lot more character development there with the kids. But now it's just, there is very little character development in this entire movie. There's a little bit with the girl, but it's like, other than that, all the other characters are exactly the same. They end up being exactly the same at the end of the movie. And the
Did
girl,
they lean in? Did they lean more into Finn Wolfhard this movie?
No.
No, that's good. That's fine. I
They
didn't
should
understand
have-
why he was in the last one, to be honest.
I liked his development in the first one. You know, the kid moving to a new town, dealing with that, dealing with all this kind of becoming a Ghostbuster kind of deal. I thought that was kind of cool, but like he's more of just like a not secondary character, but he's part of the family. The family is there living in that firehouse. But it's more of just him being like, yeah, I can do a whole bunch of stuff. You know, I'm here just helping out. You know, I'm a mechanic kind of guy, and I really want to drive the car, but Dad doesn't let me, or teacher, soon to be daddy, I guess, doesn't let me. Paul Rudd was a teacher.
Stepdad?
Yeah, Paul was a
Stepdad.
teacher, and
Yeah,
now
yeah,
he's
yeah.
dating
Stepdad,
mom.
okay.
Yeah. Soon to be dad.
Do you not like? Are you not a Finn Wolfhard fan?
Yeah, are you not like Finn?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you.
No, I am. But if you saw the first Ghostbuster movie, the first of the new series, he had no role, right? He was definitely there, coming off of It and coming out of Stranger Things, and it was like, we're gonna center this movie around Egon's grandkids, right? And we're gonna and the lead is gonna be a girl, right? A nerdy girl who is a no-name actress at the time. And we know the internet, so we need somebody to draw them in.
Yeah.
Let's do a young Finn Wolfhard right off of the heels of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, honestly. Because if you remember, like, Finn Wolfhard was in the trailer a lot, had nothing to do in the movie. So no, I like him. I think he's fine.
Okay.
It's a
It was
film we
fun.
watched.
I didn't know if this was another Jason Momoa situation where you know how much you hate him. So
you know that's not true. But no, I like Finn Wolfhard.
No, it's a good movie. It is now on digital. I kind of kicked myself in the ass on that one because obviously we're out there on May the 4th, and I'm like, man, they're putting the Phantom Menace back in theaters. I'm like, I kind of want to see that in theaters. I'm like, well, I mean, I'm gonna take my mom and my sister. I'm like, I'm gonna go have them go see a new movie. I'm not gonna take them to the theater to see a movie we can easily watch on the couch. So I didn't go see episode 1 in theaters, but we did go see that movie. And then I get home to see a trailer on YouTube saying, oh, you can get Ghostbusters Frozen Empire on digital. I'm like, fuck, I would rather just watch that at home. Like I really
How
would've.
long was it in theaters for? Like a week?
No,
Like,
so
what did they
the
do?
movie's been out for a while. I just haven't seen it yet.
Has it? Okay.
It's been out for like a month and a half at least, I think.
Yeah.
At least a
Okay.
month. It's been out for a
So-
while. But yeah.
the question I have is: so do you think the reviews on it were too harsh,
Yeah.
or do you agree with them?
It's a good movie. The only like I said, the only thing I don't like about it is like the lack of character development. But like
Sure.
Ray being in there, owning Ray's a cult, that's a big part of the movie. I loved all of that because Ray's just like a goofy kind of guy. They did really well with bringing those old Ghostbuster characters back, which is really in the end what I wanted. Being like, okay, you took like the all-female Ghostbusters movie, and I didn't like that because they just made them cameos. They weren't in the Ghostbusters world. I like this one because they're bringing these new characters into the Ghostbusters world. They're still there. And Bill Murray shows up. He's very funny. You know, he's quippy little bastard. So I mean, it happens. So it's a good movie. It's a fun movie.
The hatred for Bill Murray there.
No, I'm not hating for Bill Murray. He's just a funny guy. But it's just, yeah, if you like Ghostbusters, you'll enjoy this movie. And especially if you like the animated series when you were a kid, it definitely has more of those vibes to it. So it's definitely a good go see if you're a Ghostbusters fan.
Right on.
And then I watched the Jujutsu Kaisen movie, Zero. It is a little bit of like a side story, like before like the actual main plot lines. And it was really good. But then there was one part to where it's like he pulls the guy aside. He's like, this panda dude, which really is a corpse blessed by a curse. It's a long story. But a panda can talk and pulls the guy. He's like, hey, what kind of boobs do you like on girls? I'm like, come on. Like, this whole movie was doing so well with not being fucking stupid. He's like, do you like them big or do you like them small? And he's like, oh, I guess I kind of like them a little big. And he's like, oh, he's like, look on the girl, like, you got a chance. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it's a little funny, but also it's like, man, I was enjoying this whole thing. They're all being very serious. The new character that's in the movie, like, his story is that he is cursed with this curse. But the curse is his like childhood love. So like they're very young. He's like, oh, we're gonna get married. This is an engagement ring she gives him. And he's like, we'll be in love forever. And it just starts off straight. She gets hit by a car. People in the background is like, I don't want to go help her. Her head's crushed in. And he's just sitting there like sobbing and going at it. I'm like, the show and this movie get very serious, and then do that weird titty stuff like half an hour later, and it's like, you guys are just kind of all over the place with this. I don't mind a little bit of goofiness, but if you're trying to be serious, let's stick to the seriousness, please. At least for 2 hours of a movie. But that's the only negative I have about that entire series. Other than that, I'm in the second season. I'm loving it. It's weird that the main character and the whole plot of that character having to eat the fingers he finds of this other demon is just totally ignored for like at least the first half of the second season. Like the kid shops up every once in a while, but it's like, isn't he like possessed by a really powerful demon? And like we're not gonna have anything to do with like fingers for the most part until like this one episode. Either way, it's been very good.
We should never have anything to do with fingers. That should just fingers should just stay out of it.
This demon has like multiple hands and there's like 16 fingers or whatever, and for him to get super powerful,
That's too many fingers. That's 16 fingers too many.
And then, well, he accidentally eats one of them and then gets possessed by the demon. But yeah, it's a whole
How
story.
do you accidentally eat a finger? Yep, I was thinking the same thing.
There are action stuff, and then like going through it, and for some reason
And somebody's just like, bloop.
well, he doesn't want
You're like,
he doesn't want the demon to get it. 'cause
Oh
the
no,
demon will get more
doctor! I
powerful.
promise. I fell on the finger.
No,
I did.
We're fighting
accidentally
a demon
went in
with their jujitsu demon energy powers, and this demon tries to eat the finger to get more powerful, and the main character goes, "No, I'll just do it myself." No, and then it's just bad things happen.
All right.
Watch the show. It's a good show for the most part.
JJK, everybody.
Yeah. And then lastly, I'm surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised. You guys probably just forgot about it because they have a horrible time of advertising this. But My Hero's new season started. Episode 1's fucking fantastic. Christian,
I haven't seen it yet.
You said you like Stars and Stripes. Stars and Stripes is in there. She's fucking awesome. It's great.
I've seen. So I got halfway
Almost spoiled.
spoiled.
Yeah.
I saw what her quirk is,
Yes.
and that is the most broken fucking quirk I have ever seen.
There are rules to it, so it's less broken, but it is
there's
pretty broken.
rules, but the rules are pretty lax in her favor.
Very
So
much
I saw the description of it, and I was like, damn. And then I realized, I was like, wait, I don't know if I've seen this. And I was like, click, click, click. And I like got off because I was like, no, I don't want to see this. So yeah, that will be watched tonight, 100%.
So just so you're aware, Crunchyroll is on bullshit with this show. Be careful because it shows 2 season 7s. And the first season 7 has like 5 episodes in it. I'm like, did I just miss, like, did they drop all 5 or did I miss like 5 weeks? No, it's 5 episodes of them like kind of catching you up. But they call it season 7. And they start a new season 7 with a new episode 1. The one with 1 episode is the one you want to start with. Don't bother if you still remember the stories of the other one.
Yeah, cool.
I will need to. I did not know the new season came out, so I will have to watch that tonight. Especially now that I realize like I'm paying more for Crunchyroll because they have decided to up their prices because
they're the only game in
that's
town.
why.
That's why.
Yeah, because all 3 of us have our own separate subscription. Yes.
Yeah. Also, they got in trouble for mischarging people for the last couple of years and lost a class action lawsuit where they had to pay everybody between $30 and $60 back. So I guess they're just going to recoup that money by upping everybody's fee $3 to $4 to just give a big middle finger.
Where are you going to go for it? To get them legally.
Capitalism, baby.
So
stupid.
That is it. That's my week. It's a big one for me, but it's my week.
Cool. I'm excited to get back into My Hero. I like that show.
Good.
All right. So let's finish up this VGBC with
I knew I was
Happy day for Preston.
Yeah.
Come up next.
The final part of System Shock. This part was shorter, so we don't have as much story stuff to cover. This will be more about just talking about the end game and then our final thoughts and stuff. But where we found ourselves, so we have found ourselves coming out of executive, and we are headed to security. We went down to the reactor,
and we
blew up the reactor.
Well, we primed it to blow up.
We primed it to blow up. It has the longest blow up sequence of anything I've ever seen.
Well, good news. It doesn't. There's no sequence. It's triggered by you going up to the bridge.
Yeah. And just in case you weren't aware that the sequence was primed, it will do the alarm the entire time it takes you to make it back up to the bridge.
So if you're like
Boy,
me
will it.
and can't remember which elevators to go
Insane.
into, it takes a while.
It does. So yes, we leave the reactor after we've primed it. The way you prime the reactor is
really quick,
every
by the way.
time.
Because I talked about, I did the prime. I talked about this in the last episode because I explained what I did to
Yes.
prime the reactor. So we already, but so I start my playthrough after this moment, right? So I start mine on security. That's
On
where I
security.
ended.
Yeah.
And that's where we ended the last episode with me talking about it. So from that moment on, my play session to finish the game was about an hour and a half. Alex had to go, he hadn't blown up the reactor yet, so he had to go down and do that, but then he shortly joined me after. And you were just over about 2 hours, you said?
I was 2.5. I keep in mind I also had
Yeah.
to get 2 Scullies because I had gotten all the
Sure.
others naturally.
I just mean
actually.
like,
so I had to go back
but
and do
you
2
had
Scullies.
to, but you had to go back and go down, and then, so it was about 2.5
Yeah.
hours. Preston streams his ending on Wednesday, and he had to do the exact same thing that Alex did, minus the extras. And Preston, it was about.
So my issue was that I was scrubbing through the videos like Christian recommended. I'm like, okay, you're a good idea. So I'm scrubbing through, waiting to see those CPU units so I can see the computer terminals next by so I can see them.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. Last episode, when I was scrubbing through them to find the spots for us to do the gameplay stuff that we talk about, I got 3 of them. Like, cool. 3 out of 6, awesome. If I have to go find the other ones, no big deal. But let's just scrub through the other videos because I still have them there. I haven't deleted them yet. I'm like, okay, cool. I found all 6 of them. Awesome. So let's go in. Let's enter the numbers. Enter the numbers. Not working. Okay. I'm like, all
Well,
right,
you were
let's-
already. Preston was already a little iffy
No,
because he was worried one of the numbers looked like a 5, but could have been a 3.
Yeah.
But he wasn't
because the
sure
way I do
because they looked
threes
similar.
is very sus. And yeah, I pulled up. So I'm like, okay, so I'm trying that combination out, trying this combination out. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
let's do these floors. I'm like, okay, well, let's go. GN's guide real quick. Which floors do I have to do in which order? Okay. It is in that one order that Alex said earlier. I'm like, okay, cool. So let's try it again. Not working. Look, I try with the other number again. Not working. I'm like, well, I'm not sure which one is wrong. So let's take a stroll.
Down I go.
Because apparently one of these numbers that I had on here is not an actual floor that has a number.
Up you go, because you were on the bottom. He had a reactor. He had a reactor
Oh,
number.
sure, yeah, you're going all the way back up,
We were
yeah.
we were very confused by the reactor number because reactor shouldn't have a number.
Yeah.
It should be the other floor.
Yeah, like I put down, like, I forget which one I put down, but I was like, oh, this one has a number, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that one doesn't have a number. I'm like, why? Pretty sure I
Yeah.
saw it in the reactor room. It was like, well,
Reactor.
You enter the code
Nope.
in the reactor. I don't think there was CPUs in there. I'm like, well, I thought I saw one, didn't see one. So I'm running around looking for it. I'm like, you know what? Let's just do all these so that way, just in case. So I had to do all of them. Got to that the reactor, but overall, Christian, your question. It took me just under 4 hours, maybe just over. Let's just say 4 hours. 4 hours, maybe.
I think it was a little bit over 4, but
Let's quickly not gloss over. Was the number a 4? The number was a 9, right? And I think you had it
number
right.
that I was missing was 8. That was on the floor that I didn't have. But the one that I saw was a 3.
Okay. Well, I remember you were upset because you were like, one of these numbers is wrong because I make my 4s like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah,
like,
so
I
yeah,
just misread
yeah.
my own number.
Yeah, so I make the way I do my 4s, I don't do like the football post kind of thing. I do like the triangle top of the 4. So I'm like, okay, well maybe I just
like an
round it.
animal, yeah.
Like an animal. So maybe I just didn't round it properly. Whatever. Either way, I finally got all of them. I finally got the reactor input. If I went all through those floors and I messed up or messed something up and I put that reactor code in again, I would have probably quit then. I was probably like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not going through all these floors again. Luckily for me, all that was like most of them were 0%. There wasn't a whole lot of enemies, if any, on some of those floors. So
Yeah.
it was pretty smooth sailing walking through those floors again.
And remember
Christian-
we
Christian
should
and I-
remember that little 0% thing, because remember the game has been telling us the whole time that when you get to 0%, no enemies will be able to spawn because Shodan doesn't have any control. Just remember that going forward. I just want everybody. I want that fact to live in people's brains going forward.
Also, Christian and I had not bets, but we
If I
were betting if you were gonna quit or finish. We were talking about
close.
it beforehand.
That pretty
Now,
close.
And
when I said that, now keep in mind, when I said that, I was under the impression that you guys would have to go through what I did, and so
Yeah. If
I was like,
heard your
I was
stories.
like,
We'll talk
I
about
was
it,
like,
but
yeah, we'll get there. But I just was like,
answer's
man,
no.
I was like, Preston is gonna. I'm pretty sure he's gonna quit. But then, as I was talking to Alex after he finished it, we'll talk about it here in a little bit. But we discovered that
Different games.
these last two levels, unlike most of the game, I was playing a different game.
No, that's not true. The whole game you were playing a different game.
Yeah,
just
but for
didn't
the
know
most
it till
part,
the
we
last
just
two.
like. But for the most part, like the game didn't have different ways to really fuck me over the way that it like was not doing for you guys. Like, I like. We'll
More
get there.
enemies, less health. Yeah, we'll talk about it. So we set up the reactor. We make our way up to security. When we make our way up to security, the game makes it very apparent that hey, this is your last go. Like you're not heading back to the other floors. Get your hidden stuff. Get your weapons that you want. Like this is what
No
you're
med
doing.
bays.
Yep.
No med bays. No nothing. Which is really interesting to me. Just if you're thinking back to it, I would believe that like the important people driving the spaceship, like on the bridge, would want to be safe in case something were to happen. But
Or maybe
that's
the
just me.
security guards. Like maybe they would need a med bay, considering that they'd probably be the ones that would always probably be in need of one.
Yeah, so that's just me. But anyway, we make our way up to security, and as we're making our way up, the only cutscene of the game past the intro, right? Like past where we are talking to. Actually, Diego is in game, so the only cutscene really past the intro of the game happens now, which is the image of the space station floating beside
I think this
Saturn.
is after this. I think it's when we go into the bridge that happens.
No, it's not here.
No, I think it
That was in
happens when we
security.
go up to the bridge. Nuh-uh.
Oh, okay. All right. Either way, then I'll digress for a second and say, once we get to security, and our way up there is full of baddies. Once we set the reactor core, Shodan comes up and says, "Hey, I like Shodan's. She is a villain in an '80s movie, right?
Absolutely.
So you set off the reactor, and she's like,
She's
oh
Skynet.
man, oh man, I would be super upset. Like, do not come up here to security or the bridge because like peasant, like stay where you are. Don't do it. Don't you do
Don't.
it." And you're right. And clearly you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna do it." And she goes, "That's fine, but like here come all of my children." She even says like, "Hey, children, stop him now." And
Yeah.
this is where Christian's irritation of to this point, you have to run up to the executive level and then take the elevator to security. The problem with this game that we haven't really discussed, there's not one main elevator shaft that goes from reactor to bridge.
Yeah.
It's not hop in, go to whatever level you want. You go from medical will take you to reactor to maintenance. Maintenance will take you either up to like research, or you can skip it and go to like flight deck. Research will also take you to flight deck, and flight deck will take you to executive, but like executive will only take you to like 1 or 2 floors.
And there's also
So-
a shortcut in maintenance to get you all the way up to executive.
Yeah, but like there's multiple elevators, but not every elevator takes you to the floor you need to go. None of the elevators tell you which one it is until you step inside and look at the panel.
Yep.
So like from your overworld map, you can see elevators generally, not all of them. You can see most elevators, but they will not tell you, is this the elevator I need to go to? So when Shodan says, "Hey, don't come up here to security," and all of my children go kill him, it's not like run to the elevator, ride all the way up. It's run to the elevator, go up to medical and research, go from research up to maintenance, go from maintenance up to flight deck to executive to security. And boy, is that a bitch of a run.
Especially
Now-
if you get mixed up.
Because
That's interesting, Alex. It shouldn't be, because we have went through every single floor and gotten every single bit of security to 0%, which means
Preston
Shodan
didn't,
shouldn't
because
be
he
able
didn't
to
get
do
in the
it.
secret. Preston didn't get in the secret room, so he has
Sure,
one floor
but
that has some stuff on
we
it.
should have had that. But it's interesting. Now I don't know about you guys because I didn't get to see your guys' runs, but I know Alex. We talked about it, and you didn't have these kind of enemies that I'm about to mention. I had on every single floor multiple cyber demons that chased me. Multiple, like 3 or 4, maybe sometimes 5 on each floor. So every
We
single
got-
time that
I
I'm
think
trying
we
to come
got
out of an
one-
elevator and run down, I'm getting green lasers fucking shooting everywhere and people shooting
I
at me.
think we got like 1 or 2 for the entire run to security. Like it was
And
not.
all I
it was
could
nothing
think
crazy.
of the entire time was me sitting there thinking, why did I waste my time getting 0% on every floor? If you were just going to do this to me, what's the point? I should have...
The question is, where did they come from?
She
Did they
spawned
In
them
an
in.
elevator.
They come
Did
on
they
the
come-
elevator. I love the idea of a cyber demon just sitting there just... Do, do, do,
With the
do,
music,
do,
yeah.
do, do, do. Yeah.
No, they came out of those floor elevators that you never
Yeah,
get to
that's-
access. But like,
That's where
were
they... Just, but well... But how? Because you weren't able to do that before, but all of a sudden you can't... I don't... It pissed me off. I was like, you're not even following your own rules. There's no reason for
You
you,
shouldn't
to do
know.
this.
You shouldn't know where to send them because I destroyed all the cameras, so you can't watch me.
You have no idea
at
where I'm
first
at.
when I got really excited when that mechanic was introduced because I thought it was a really clever way to change
Stop
the gameplay,
respawns,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, sure
of course
was.
she's sending stuff to you. Of course she's sending stuff to you. She can see you, but if you destroy them all, then she no longer spawns them because she doesn't know where you are. That's brilliant.
Yeah, until it's not.
I mean, maybe she
Until
just
it's not.
unleashed them on all the floors. So.
Fuck you.
Score three.
Not you,
I know,
but
I know.
her. Like, with a game like that's just such a shit answer. Like, well, she put them on all floors. She should have been doing that anyway. Then, well, if she really wanted to kill me, why not do that from the jump?
Yep. Yeah.
Like I understand maybe at first, like I get through medical, right? She's like, oh, whatever, they'll deal with it. I don't have time to deal with this. After I make it past, let's say, maintenance, I'm pretty high up there at that, or not maintenance, storage.
Yeah, you know I'm coming.
I've made it probably farther than you want. And let's say even if I've made it to the Groves, I've made it to executive, right? At that point, and then I'm jettisoning shit off. What's the point? Like, you should have definitely just thrown the fucking book at me then, but you didn't. And it's bullshit. They did it just to do it. It irritates me when games don't follow their own rules, and that was the first one to make me mad.
Yes. So we get up to security, and I'll be honest with you, I actually really enjoyed the security level. It was completely different than any of the levels we've done so far because when you come into security, it's just one main
Big tower
pillar,
in the middle.
a big tower in the middle of like a square room, and it's very tall. It's the tallest floor by far. But it's a very vertical floor versus just flat one level.
I actually liked it.
I actually liked it too. It was tough. Like there's a lot of flying drones in here. There's a lot of cyber demons, and the ones that aren't quite cyber demons but have the big claws. There's a lot of those on this floor. Which makes sense. It is security, so you would expect to run into like the
respawn.
hardest resistance.
So if you die, you have to start all over. The guys that you kill, they're all back. So you need to make it a good run for you to do this.
Or mash the quick save button.
That's what I've been doing. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the second thing. That was a little annoying.
You got it.
Christian, to your point, like, story-wise, it makes sense because you jettisoned, like, we're getting to the point where we're going to jettison stuff off. We can't go
Yeah.
back, right? So, like, I get it. But until that happens, I could theoretically still go down if I wanted to, but maybe I'm in lockdown, right? Okay, so I can't go back down floors because you've locked down security and I'm stuck here. All of this I understand. But as a developer, you know that this is like the toughest part of the game. You're headed to the end game. And to just slow down progress by requiring a complete restart and reload kind of sucks.
Feels bad, man.
Because until you get your bearings on that floor, I died quite a few times. Like
Yeah.
it took me a minute to
That's
like
solid.
get my bearings. Now I got quicker at hitting the start button and quick load before the cutscene hit and I was actually trapped. But like it takes a while, which is
Doesn't
really
feel good.
irritating. No,
Doesn't feel good.
it didn't. When we get through security, we don't need to spend too much time here because the crux of security, the big part of it, is you're working your way to the top of the tower and you're trying to unlock one final door in security that is going to take you eventually to the bridge. But before you get there, you pop open a room and who is there? That some bitch Diego.
So can I
And
just say
this-
really quick? I actually skipped a part of security here because there's a way that it wants you to like sort of walk around through like Delta Sector or whatever to like get up to then lead you into that third like level or whatever, like to get around there. But if you stand on a ladder, it gives you just enough height that if you jump right at a right corner and then crouch jump, you can just get right on the third floor and get right to where you need to go and just go right into Gamma Sector, find the med bay, and then go from there and just like start chopping stuff up. So I did that, and it was another. It was another time where it was different than the other times where normally when I do something like that in one of these games, I'm like, oh yeah, old game brain, I'm still here, I got locked in. And this time I was like, fuck you, game. I'm not doing what you want me to do because fuck you.
So I of course map scraped like I did on every level. I did help Preston get a Scully because he was trying to figure out like the easiest way to get over to where he needed to go, and I helped him use the boots from the top level, which was like instead of running all around to find the lift that we needed to take us where we needed to go on the side we were at, we just used the version 3 hover boots to jump on a bridge on the far side, then jump from the bridge to a door in the tower, a hidden door in the tower which had a skull in it, and then you just jump straight from there to the room where Diego
Those boots
is.
are a big help, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do get the
for
version
sure.
3 boots in this level.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you didn't get them earlier, they're here and they're great. So when we walk in, Diego has a slight upgrade. He now shoots rockets
Little
out of
booch.
his back. If you anticipated what was happening by the fact you opened the door and you just see an arena and you went ahead and popped a berserk and just ran forward, despite the cutscene happening, or the it wasn't even a cutscene, as a quick pause to let you know, like, oh, he jumped in. I still killed him in like 4 of my sword hits, so he did nothing. Like, I got behind him and just like pop.
You throw for normal. I had to throw an EMP to knock him out, but then after that, I hit him like 6 or 7 times and he died. And then the game decides to do something very fun where you kill Edward Diego and you go, I did it. And then it was different enemies for you guys, but for me it was 2 cyber demons, just bam bam, and I was like,
for us it was 1. It was 1 cyber demon instead of 2.
yeah, well mine was 2, but they both dropped
Yeah.
down like, and I was like,
Yeah.
sick, this is fantastic. And you're like, but the game is like, you had finished, Diego, and you're like, great, cool, I can move on, fuck this guy. And then the game's like, nope, we're still here to fuck you, and you better hope you quick save, because if you didn't, you'll have to do this whole fight over again. So that was a really neat trick they did.
I got lucky in that part. So once I killed Diego, I ran straight ahead to the door, and then was like, oh, there's part of that room I didn't uncover. So I had to, of course, run out and run around the room and make sure I opened up on like the whole thing on the map. And when I ran out, I noticed there was one of those cyber demons there, and I was like, oh, okay. So I just shot him and walked back in. But if you were like me, you went through that door, there's a jut out on the left-hand side where if you wanted, you could just stand behind and wait for them to walk in the room and just smack them up. But
Sure.
yeah. But yeah, it is unfun if you don't know they're there, because then you're like, shit, I've always wasted all the stuff. Now I have to continue to fight. Preston, I know it took you had to do it twice, right? You died the first time.
Like 2 or 3 times. It was just mostly like I'm just trying to
Yeah.
get the accuracy with my
EMP.
grenade. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I didn't drop that down, I wasn't gonna do anything, because he was gonna just beat the shit out of me when I get close to him. But yeah, this
you
is
were
the same way I did
you
it
were
last
struggling
time.
with no batteries at that point.
You
Oh, that's
were.
true, yeah.
You had no batteries to do the sword.
So I had to get up close. I forget what I used, but yeah.
Yeah. So we go straight from there, and then we hit the bridge. And then when we're hitting the bridge, this is when the cutscene happens.
Yes.
So essentially, the space station, the top part, looks like kind of like an open, not an open dome, but a dome. Like it you can kind of see out.
looks
of
like a
there's
UFO
glass on
disc.
top. It does. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And it ejects itself from the rest of the station. And as it's going away, I don't know where it's going. I would assume you're so close to Saturn, you're stuck in that like mutual orbit that
It's
it
moving
probably would
away
have
from the
pulled you.
station. is what it's doing.
Yeah, probably not what it should do, theoretically. It probably should have been pulled into the orbit, but whatever. It's moving away from the orbit, it's moving away from Saturn, it's moving away from the station. Station blows up. And it's pretty apparent now that we're stuck. Like, this is it. We are fighting Shodan. But before we can get to Shodan, we have to get to Shodan, which means we have to go through the bridge level. And this is another level at first I really liked, because it was also interesting, but in a different way. So one of the main rooms you walk into, the first one, is full of all these red spots on the floor, and they're almost like the red bridges, the holographic stuff that you can see through, but you can't go through. As you make your way along the top room, you open up a door. It opens up one of those floor panels to where you can drop into it. Then the rest of the hijinks ensues. I liked that room way more than the rest of the floor. I was like, oh, this is a cool concept. And then the rest of the floor just...
I hated all of them because in mine, I had about 15 of those fucking cyber bots that was in there.
I had like
That
5.
There's a good amount.
There's
for
like
ours,
5 or
too.
6, yeah.
Yeah.
There's like 6 already.
Yeah, I had like 15. I was
Yeah.
done. I was like, this is too much.
Oh,
You've done
so-
too much.
In the security, I picked up the railgun finally, and I'm like, okay, well, what's this all about? They keep on showing me ammo for it. I'm like, I probably should pick this up because they keep on giving me ammo.
I never
Yes.
used it.
So the thing is, it takes down those guys. I don't know for your gameplay, Christian, but it takes those dudes down in one shot. So I just ended up dropping down. The ones I couldn't get while just standing above and fucking their day up, I just dropped down, got that railgun out, see him, boom, done. Okay, hide from
I had
the other one,
100
from
and- I had like 150 Magnum bullets by that point.
Sure.
So I literally just shot a bunch of them, and it takes like 8 Magnum bullets to kill one. So I was just like bang, 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 bang. Yeah, but then I dropped down. But 6 of them just walked up and let me shoot them while I
from
was
the
standing
top.
above them, and I
Yeah,
couldn't. And I was
couple
like, great.
Yeah.
But the other 10 were still like, no. Like I would try and like kite them to like
Yeah, me
bring
too.
them to that point, and they would like walk a little bit, and they're like, no, I'm not doing that.
No.
Fuck you. And so I was like, God damn. So I had to go down and fight fucking 10, like peeking out between corners. And I was like, oh, I hate this so many. Why are there so many?
I didn't know that about the railgun. I wish I did. So the guns I took into the final fight were the sword, the Magnum, the SMG, and the railgun. And I only used the sword and the Magnum because, to Christian's point, I had 248 Magnum bullets, and it takes 6 shots to take down the strongest enemy, and 5 shots if you make a couple of them headshots. So I just, I like you guys, I took a couple of those demons down from the top, and then I dropped down, and I think, Preston, you're right, I think there might be 8 the way it had it laid out in the hallways.
probably.
But I would just run around and oh, there's a guy there. Pop, 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 pop. Okay, moving on. Oh, there's a guy here. Pop, 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 pop. Cool, moving on. It actually wasn't until some of the other levels or some of the other areas that it started catching me, and it was mostly because of just very weird enemy placement. Like you would come in a hall and there would just be a guy patrolling. You'd be like, oh, okay. Shit.
I love the way that
right?
we just describing this so differently too, because of the difficulty thing. When you guys are like, "Oh, here's somebody, pop, pop, moving on. Here's somebody, pop, pop, moving on," and then meanwhile you cut to me like the R. Kelly gif, I'm fighting for my fucking life. It's so ridiculous.
Didn't you say that parts of these levels were radiated for you too?
We're gonna get there, yeah. So the
Okay,
next
not yet.
room,
We'll get.
Not there. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was sooner. Okay, go ahead.
Was it in the next room for you, Christian?
multiple. I had multiple rooms that were fully irradiated here that was not for you guys. So the next room, or one
Yeah.
of the, it doesn't have to be the next room, but one of the rooms that you can go to is a room that is full of death Roombas. But you don't know that. It's empty when you first get in there.
that room. So okay, in hindsight, it's really funny. In the moment, boy, will it piss you off, especially when you don't have the quick load or anything, when you have to wait for the death animation, because these things are one hit kills. So when Christian says death Roombas, they're legit death Roombas. They are just little vacuums
Roombas
that will
that
come off their
explode.
charger. They go bing, and then they just track you. And at first, so what happens? You make your way. You go through this whole place. You make your way to the back of the room.
It's like a maze.
It's a very large room, and it is a maze. No problem. There's a couple of enemies. You take them out. No worries. You get to the back, and then you pull a lever to open up a door somewhere else. All of a sudden,
Well, you solve a puzzle. It's a
the hacking puzzle, isn't it? Yeah. All of a sudden, on your way back, there are death Roombas, and not 5, not 10, not 15. Even on easy, we had about 30 of
Yeah.
them, which is insane. I died the first time I died was immediately as I turned around. There's one just hauling ass at you, and okay, I died from it. Get me once, game. That's fine.
Right.
The second time I killed it, cool, okay. I take one step forward and I hear beep beep, and just boom, I blow up again. I was like, what the fuck?
So I got
Respawn again.
really.
Kill the first. I was like, I kill the first, kill the second. I go, you know what? I'm gonna go down this other hallway. Then I realized They were at every corner of every hallway.
Yeah.
And it is a maze, so there was
So-
at least 30 of them.
I got really lucky, well, depending on how you look at it. So for the first half of this room, it's completely irradiated for me. When I say completely irradiated, I mean, like, if I don't have my environmental shield on, I'm at, like, 199, 200 radiation things. And it's taking your health down fucking quick. And so I'm like, oh, God, this is awful. I finally get to the other edge of the puzzle, and there's no radiation near the puzzle thing. I'm like, all right, thank God. Save. Do the puzzle. Turn around. I hear it, and I'm like, bam, I shoot it. I'm like, fuck you. Now, I don't know, again, if this is a difficulty thing or not, but on normal, if a Roomba is in the vicinity of an explosion, it will come and try to find out what that explosion was before it runs at you.
Yeah.
So I had, like, 3 come around a corner, and I was like, bang, 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 shot those. I was like, all right, quick save. Fuck you. I'm not doing this with you guys. So I peeked around the corner, and I just so happened to catch a patrol of one that was in the middle there. So I shoot it. Now, because it's centered in the room, all of these motherfuckers swarm into the middle of the room. So I shot that one, and then it was like, it's like cascade just exploded them all. And I was like, I don't know how many are in here. I was like, but I'm not waiting around to find out. So I immediately line up like a beeline on the map to be like, okay, if I just sprint, I can make it through the irradiated zone and get out of here. And that's exactly what I did. I literally was just like, sprint. I might have heard some. I don't know if I did or not. I wasn't waiting around to find out. But I sprinted straight through, opened the door, got out, jumped over, and then used the little shortcut that for some reason didn't activate in Preston's game. I'll never know why, but it just didn't. But I used that shortcut, jumped over the side, and then left. And I was like, fuck that room forever. And then I went to the next one.
That room is one of those rooms where you look back and you go, some dev thought they were the funniest thing ever. They're like, oh, you know
This is
how
gonna
many
be
people are
great.
going to die here. It's going to be so great. This is going to be great, right? Because what happened is in the QA test of that room, somebody died and everybody laughed. Oh, ha, ha, so
Everyone
funny.
knew about it.
Because you all knew about it, right? Except for the one person that did QA, and it was funny. No, it's not. It's not funny. So when I
You ruined my day.
So the rest of the level plays out pretty simply. Nothing special until what we do is we find essentially the last hacking area where we are able to open ourselves up to where Shodan is now.
No.
To get,
We're
I
not
say we have
skipping
one
past
room
this.
before that.
There's so
We're gonna
to
talk
get to be able to get into that room, to be able to
Yeah.
get into the battle royale that fucking happens, you have to find a chip. And this chip is on a random Cortex Reaver in the bridge level. The game, by the way, does not tell you about at all.
Okay.
So
Did this take you a long? So what happened with you? This wasn't a problem for me. So what?
yeah,
tell me
because
what
you were
happened.
already map scraping, so eventually you're just going to run into it, you're going to see this chip and go like, I guess I need this, and then you'll take it the
Yeah.
same way that we did with
Yeah,
Preston.
yeah.
But for somebody
Yeah.
who, now that I've already, the
Okay.
game has shown me that 0% means nothing, because it's useless, because
Right.
Shodan will just keep spawning enemies, so why should I fucking care? I've opened up all 3 things, and then I go, okay, now what? I go to the door, locked. What am I supposed to do? And the game has said, well, go look at audio logs. Oh, okay. No, none of the audio logs tell you to go do this. There's nothing
Okay.
in this part of the game that tells you what to go do. So you're like, well, I guess I just have to fucking map scrape then. So as you go through map scraping, I get to 0% security, which pisses me off because I'm like, this is useless and doesn't do anything. So there's no reason for me to be doing this, but it's happened because I had to. Then you get to that last room, you open it up, and there's a Cortex Reaver in there, and you're like, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing. So you quickly pop a Berserk Patch, beat the shit out of it, grab the little chip, and you're like, neat. I guess I need that. I don't know. And then you have to go keep scraping further till finally you find a hole in a little pillar that just happens to match the shape of the chip you find.
I didn't realize that was a problem. I'll tell you why. Because, like you said, I did map scrape. It was the last area I made it to. I walk in the room and nothing happens. Like the big room, nothing happens. I walk into the next door and then I see a little skull, like plug-in. The chip you get looks like a skull.
Yeah.
Right. So it looks like a little skull plug-in. I'm like, oh, interesting. I was like, okay, so this has to be around here. So I turn around and walk back out the door, and I walk to the left because again I'm getting the walls to show up right on the map. And it just drops from the sky, and I already had my sword out. I was like, "Oh, Reaver!" Bop, 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 4 times, and I picked it up, and I was like, "Oh, well, that's the shape that I need," and just turned around and put it back in.
Yeah,
I didn't realize like that wasn't just like as simple for everyone. I was like, "Oh, okay."
Well,
Like,
because it
I'll
all just
do
depends
this
on
now.
how you. It depends on all how you bump into it. Like
Yeah.
once I got it, and then I found the pillar. I was like, oh, okay. Clearly, skull shape goes in skull hole, and I put it in.
Right.
But like you don't. But there's nothing in the game that says that. Like even by playing on the game's own rules, where it's like listen to the audio logs and it'll give you a
Sure.
roundabout idea of what to do. It doesn't do that in this level. It's just like go, and so you're like, okay, I guess, but whatever, and like that would all be. It's not enough that they do that.
We'll talk about that too. Don't forget that, Christian. Remember, this is how we learned, you and I, that you were playing a different game than us.
Yeah.
Based on the audio logs. So we'll talk about that here in a minute.
Which is super fun that they decided to do this. But anyway, so then I get through all that, and I'm just like, whatever. All right. So then I'm like, okay, I did this part. And by the way, the chip that you pick up is normally junk anywhere else that you find on the station. When you find
there are the exact same
damaged
chips that are like
isolinear chips,
yeah,
and you can
yeah.
just try. You can
Vaporize
them to turn them into little space trash to make coins. And so it's like, okay, I guess this one's special, and I'm just supposed to. Okay, that's fine, whatever. You've been conditioning the player to look at that stuff and go, oh, cool, trash, but. I'll move on.
It's that's just so weird. Like I said, I ran into the pillar first and then came out, and the Reaver dropped on top of me or right beside me.
I just
so
mean
for
like
me it was nothing. Like that's crazy.
I just mean like for 9 or 8 floors of the game, you were conditioning the player to see that shape and think garbage,
Sure.
or money at the very least. And in this one, you're like, we're not going to tell you, but it's super important now, especially when like if you're walking around that pillar and you see the shape. There's nothing really that like stands out on that pillar to say like, put this like put it like outside of the shape, but like it doesn't seem like it actually does anything, and that's rough because a lot of the ancillary design in this game is terminals, computer screens, and other things that you can't interact with. Like if you run up onto a computer screen that looks like you should be able to do something with it, and you right click. Or use the interact button if you're using a controller, the game will say like it won't budge or doesn't do anything or what, like it has like little text on there. So the game has all of this ancillary sort of design like that feeds into its like theme, but you can't do anything with. So there's nothing in the game up until this point that should have taught you, even by its own rule set of like either audio logs or just learn by doing or whatever. There's nothing in it that would have conditioned you to get to the point where you would be looking for or would have known to look for that. You would just be like, oh, that looks like another thing on a pillar that I can't interact with. Just like everything else around me. Like, what would I ever... But you put it in, that finally unlocks the door, you open the door, and you are greeted with Shodan's basically final fuck you before you can find her. And
yeah. Again, we'll talk about it. It wasn't as complicated for Preston and I. Like, I know you're saying, like, the game hasn't taught you and hasn't told you, but, like, for us it did.
It didn't.
So, no, it did. For us it did.
No.
No.
Oh, sure. What I'm saying is that, like, even on easy, even if there's an audio log that tells you, like, oh, you need to go find a skull chip or something, like, whatever. I'm saying for other difficulties, but in general, from gameplay, like, I'm just talking about teaching through gameplay.
Yeah.
On all other 8 floors, that chip is trash.
It does look slightly different in your inventory, the damaged one versus the new one.
You gotta
Okay.
get it there though.
Stop it. You're being obtuse.
But it does. It does.
Yeah,
It looks
I
a
know
little
it
different.
shines a little bit different, but in general, when I see a
get what you're
skull chip
saying.
for 8 floors, it's supposed to be vaporized to turn into money later.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And for every other part of the game, all of the little random things on walls or different things outside of levers or buttons, you cannot interact with. They don't do anything. And when you right-click on them, the game tells you it doesn't do anything. Like, whatever happens. And so to have it switch up at this last part is just annoying. But after you get through, I open the door, and you have a battle royale ensues where basically Shodan says, go fuck yourself. You're not getting up here, or you're not going to get to me. Ha ha ha. And I'm sending everything I've got at you. Now, again, should be noted, she shouldn't be able to do that because the fucking place is already at 0%. So it doesn't make any sense that she has control over this, but whatever. She puts all these enemies in there. Now, Preston, Alex, you guys see all of this, and you might think to yourself, I'll turn on my electric shield.
This was the again. So there were two. Christian and I were talking about this. It was this room and the audio log conversation we had where he and I realized that we did play different games. Because let me just say for Preston and I, we walk in this room. This is the biggest battle we've had so far. It's a 3-phase battle where you walk in, you have to clear out enemies, you push a button to essentially turn on some
different
circuits.
levers to charge.
Pull some levers, turn on some circuits, and then once you pull one lever, enemies respawn. Now for me and Preston, I don't know if you noticed this or not. I died the second phase of the first try. Okay, I saw where people were coming from, so I got smart. On the second try, before I started the fight, I threw some mines down in the floor where the people come up. However, the game is smart enough to recognize how you're preparing. So then...
Okay, I'm glad that we all saw for audio listeners.
Yeah, that was on camera, fam.
Alex's dog Poppy literally just had like the meme on Instagram where it's like, "Father help," and the dog just falls back. That's literally what just happened to Poppy. Is she completely just sort of gave into her fate and just fell back only the floor. She only fell like 3 inches, but it was very funny regardless.
Well, it's also I'm on bokeh, so you can't really it's not super clear behind me. When I turned around, she had the biggest somebody save me eyes, the biggest oh, I almost died eyes, and then she just climbed back up on the couch and laid down. That's very embarrassing for you.
We gotta edit zoom into that and have Scar's voice where he's long live the king, and just throws it off.
Oh, poor dog. Anyway, so I got smart, threw mines down. I prepped for the phases, but the game realized what you're doing and says, you know what we're gonna do? Instead of popping things out of the floor of the elevator on the right-hand side where you just threw your mine, we're going to pop them on the left-hand side. Oh, you threw some in the front of the room? We're going to put them in the back of the room. And I know they were able to do this in the moment because I died a second time on the third phase because I ran out of ammo. And so I go, okay, game, F you. So I put things down on both sides, and they didn't pop up in the front. They popped up in the back. So it was adjusting what I was doing. So anyway, you get through a 3-phase fight. This is where Christian and I realized it was different because I didn't pop my shield. I didn't pop the shield the whole game. I just forgot about it, to be honest with you. But you duck and cover, right? You stand up top, you cover, you run around the front cover. Christian's was a little bit different because he not only had enemies to deal with, what else do you have?
Yeah, and I, just because you guys didn't use the shield, I just meant if somebody was wanting to avoid a damage in a fucking, battle royale situation in this game, you go oh cool, I'll put the shield on so that I take less damage and I can go forth. So I thought about doing that until when I open the door, Doom 2016's Rip and Tear starts playing. And this game is get ready to be in hell, and radiation sprays everywhere.
Really?
So I'm at 200 radiation. So my options are pop the electric shield to take less damage, and then just literally start eating med packs to try to get away from the radiation damage. But it's so irradiated that I'm sitting at 200 all the time that it's going to take down my health faster than a med pack can bring it up. And so I just end up getting smoked by all these different enemies because I'm getting you guys had. I saw Preston's. You guys had bullshit ass fucking enemies. I had fucking cyber daughters. I had cyber demons. I had fucking the cyber assassins. I had fucking every enemy that could possibly be in the game. I had the fucking security bot. Everything that could be in the game spawned in my room. basically, outside of the flying drones. Thank God. And so I'm like fighting all these things, and I'm like, I can't do this. I was like, I have to play it with the radiation shield. So I don't get no damage this time around. I have to use the radiation shield to be able to block a bunch of the radiation, and then still just be popping med packs. And I'm like, well, fuck it. This is probably the last room, so I got to do it. So I'm start popping med packs to try to deal with all this damage. As I'm just like, it literally felt like I was playing Doom 2016. I'm sprinting around the room, jumping from room to room and door to door and pillar to pillar to block whatever shots are happening, peeking out, fucking blah, 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 and then like going and keep running and doing these things. And I'm like, I'm playing Quake right now. Like I am literally playing Quake, but it doesn't feel as good as Quake, so I'm getting pissed off. So I finished that room though, and everything's done, and my character is probably sitting there just out of breath, pressing the button to open the door, like, I'm going to fucking kill you, Shodan. Like,
broken, out of socket.
Yes,
like,
dude. Yes, I just fucking yeah. So I hit the button, and you get into cyberspace to fight Shodan. I'll let Alex take it from here because that's the end of the game. But
also, you said your character was out of breath. I never really heard my character breathe in this game.
No, I was just being.
No, but I was gonna make a point to that, right? Like there was a couple times. Pack. No, but but there are also a couple times where like my character might fall and go, ugh, right? Like that's it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I never really heard my character. Dude, watching Preston's playthrough, he played the female. I heard her grunt and moan more than any character I have ever heard in a game.
That was also the case for me. I had never heard that character make a bunch of noise, and I was playing on harder, but it never happened to me. Where Preston's character is like ooh ah ooh, and you're just like, oh Jesus, okay, yeah, it's all over the place
the whole time. Anyway, so the final fight is interesting. So we know we have to jack into the last port and take on Shodan in cyberspace where she is. We go in there and you get into cyberspace. It looks exactly like, for the most part, the cyberspace intro of the other ones, except this time you are legitimately in cyberspace now.
First person this time.
I
on ground.
Don't know how this works, given that you're hacking into it the exact same way you've hacked into it every single other time. So I don't know how this time you have a full-blown human avatar instead of a flying ship. But either way,
because the game's rules went out the window a long time ago.
Yeah. So you now have officially jacked in, which, by the way, okay, the other thing is Shodan does not have a human personification in here, so that also doesn't make sense.
I wanted at least the face. I just wanted at least the face out there, floating, hovering face.
So, like, how can you personify me in cyberspace, which you've never done previously, but you don't personify her anyway?
Yeah. Because shut up, though.
So you get in there, you have a whole new set of, a whole new arsenal of guns you can pick up, which are just laying around the map. You know, it's a machine gun, a shotgun-ish, and then
like a laser rifle.
It's a charging crossbow.
Oh, there's a crossbow and then there's a laser rifle at the end.
But the charging crossbow is a shotgun. I mean, that's what, or like a grenade launcher. It's the same thing.
Grenade launcher.
Yeah.
But you have the same enemies from the hacking. So like you have this is the third place. Christian and I realized we played a different game. So you have the same enemies you've had from the other hacking mini games. Now in the flying mini games, there's the first enemy you run into in the game is this purple little floating head that shoots beams. Super easy. You dodge around, you shoot it with a couple of shots, boom, it's done. The second enemy you meet is my least favorite in all of these, which is this little green,
that's third,
hummingbird, like hornet sort of thing that is impossible to hit because it does not fly in a normal pattern. It's super jittery.
Green hornet, that's what it is. Yeah.
You can be shooting it from like point blank range, and it just won't be hitting it for no reason. You run into these other blue things that charge at you. Sometimes they're frozen, sometimes they're not, but they just essentially charge at you. And then we have purple ones that shoot out little ninja stars, but in this first world view, we did not run in on easy. We did not run into the purple one. We only ran into the first three.
Now, you guys, your enemies stopped at the purple one and regular ones?
Yes.
No, we had we had like the squid type one. It looks like a very tall squid with like legs coming out.
Alex said he never had that.
I never once had that in the game.
In the hacking rooms, I've had those a couple times here and there. Not very often, but every
So
once in a while.
keep in mind when you do the difficulty, there's a puzzle difficulty, a hacking difficulty, a story difficulty, and a fighting difficulty. There's like
went
5 or
easy on
6
all of them, I
different ones.
thought.
Did you? I did not have the squid. I did not see the squid. I didn't have it once in the final boss. I never saw them in the other.
They didn't have it on the
I didn't
final
see
boss
them.
in the other ones I had.
And here's the reason why I know I didn't see it. Again, because Christian and I were talking after I finished, like I did. I went back and I watched a video, right, to see if I missed anything or whatever. And I watched a dude playing on hard. And the pillar in the middle, which we'll talk about in a minute, looks different than mine. So I was talking to Christian. It's like, hey, does yours look like this? And he's like, yeah. I was like, also, like, did you have these orange enemies? I've never seen them. It's like the squid things? Like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I have those all the time. I had them all over. I was like,
He's like
Never
in
once.
every fucking one I got
I
into.
saw like
Never
3 or
once.
4 total. Yeah.
I didn't see him in the whole game. Not a single time in the whole game.
Neat.
Cool.
Yeah. So there you go. So also, side note on hard difficulty, if you die in the hacking minigame, and not like in the final boss, like
Die in
any
real
of them,
life, Yeah.
you die in the game.
That's
like
that's,
you have
what,
to.
that's what the setting
So-
says when you select it. It's like when you die here, you die in real life. I'm like, okay. all right, we're
Yeah,
not doing
in
that.
normal it takes
worst.
half your health, and then if you die again, you die forever.
The worst.
No thanks.
Yeah.
So anyway, you go through. There's 3 stages.
Normal.
They're pretty simple in the sense that like they're very straightforward. You run in, you break some crystals. The crystals essentially connect circuits that power this huge floating pillar in the center that shoots a beam of light, and the beam of light comes to land on you. The goal on your platform is to run that beam of light to 2 specific areas or 4 specific areas that power up a center gate that allow you to progress to the next area. It's very straightforward. It's not as easy said as done because like, or not as easy done as said because like the enemies you run into in the first person and it is different, but like it's very straightforward. And then when you get to the end of these, your big boss battle is just shooting 3 floating crystals around the main pillar, and once you do that,
Slingshotting those
game,
crystals
fam.
like you're fucking Bart Simpson. Like super basic. I thought that final boss fight was fucking lame.
that's it, fam. So that would be it. And then Shodan is like, oh no, like we could have done so much together, and like you know, it's something weird, and she's kind of like reverting back to the normal Shodan, but also still having like before
You're basically
you
you're
released
turning
the
back
stuff.
her ethical constraints on. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, oh no, and you know, like we could have done so much great stuff together, and like we could have changed the world and blah blah blah, and then it just shows you sitting outside in a room by yourself with no more AI, everybody's dead, and I guess
You
you're just
pass
floating
out.
into space. So
And then a song kicks out where it's like, "This is what you want. This is what you get," and it does it 100 fucking times, and you can't skip it. And I was like, "This isn't what I wanted, but this is what I got." So thank you, I guess.
Well, before you get there, though, you do wake up, and you wake back up in your apartment, and you're in front of the computer. Did you not have this?
No,
I think we might have gotten a different ending than you did.
no, because there's only. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Continue.
So I wake up. We're in our apartment. The hacker is in front of the computer, and there's an email talking about coming to work for Tricorp, and the hacker deletes the email and shuts the lid.
Yeah, but so it's just playing or it's redoing the intro, but it's not. That's not like an extra. That was after all the credits roll, and it just like the song is still playing over it, and he's doing the thing. That happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you think that was redoing the intro?
I don't know that it's redoing. I just thought so. The reason I say that is because the song starts the second you finish the boss, and then the hacker is leaned up against the wall and sort of slumps and is like bleh and just like falls there, right?
Yeah.
And then the full credits roll, like, and it's playing that song the whole time, and then it starts showing random scenes throughout the game, and then it gets to the one at the tail end is when it gets to the one with where it opens the laptop and does the thing. If that's supposed to be some sort of hidden meaning, I don't fucking know. But why place it there? That seems weird after you've already rolled the full credits and done the things. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but it just sort of seems like it was.
So do you think you as the hacker have made it back to Earth, or do you think the whole thing was a fever dream? and it never really happened.
I don't
I
want
don't
to hear
know.
that to be the answer. If someone told me the answer, I'd be very upset. So I'm glad they didn't
Yeah,
say
I'm-
that out loud.
Yeah, I have no idea. I just assumed that the hacker just sort of died on that station, and that's it.
Murdered, yeah.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to Google it. I didn't look it up.
Yeah.
But I thought that was weird. Okay. So let's talk about it. We've talked a lot about it, so
Preston,
I don't,
1
you know,
out of
we don't
10.
have to- Yeah, no. So like, look, I'm gonna say like, going back and looking at the old game, watching some of the old game, and playing this game, and like watching this game, Night Dive did an amazing, honestly,
Yes.
like a 9 out of 10 on the quality of the
As far as
the
a
remake,
remake.
and they could have. They don't get a full 10 because there's quality of life things they should have done to make it better. But like as a whole, especially compared to the old one, bring it to today's quality and it being a Kickstarter game, like kudos to you guys. You did a great job. The game, if you're into these immersive sims, I can see where you
I
like
see.
it.
You're
I
saying
do-
you're rating that 9
No,
out of
I'm gonna
10
give-
is
I'm
you
gonna give it-
saying is
I'm gonna give it-
Night Dive's effort. Like you're
Yeah,
saying.
I'm gonna give an
I
overall
see.
rating of the game, but yeah,
Okay.
I think like if I'm just saying like Night Dive's effort for this game, like
I
they
see what you're
knocked
saying.
it out.
Yeah. I
They
thought you were
knocked
saying.
it
I
out of
was
the
like, bro, we are
No.
all three
No,
of us
no,
are
no,
gonna be
no.
all the so fucking
No.
It's way different if you think this game's a 9 out of 10.
No,
Okay.
Night Dive just knocked their effort out of the park. They really did.
Fair enough. Sure.
If you're into these sort of games like immersive sims, I could see, and you played this, I could see where this holds like a really special part in your heart. To where
Not
they
just
did
older
such a-
ones, the first one.
Yeah.
the first one, yeah, I can see
Yeah.
where it hold a really special place in your heart. And this would be your jam. Immersive sims, I don't know, are my jam, but I still personally enjoyed my time with it.
Nope.
Preston's like, if there was
my
any
feeling-
desire I had to play Dishonored, it's out the window now.
My feelings would have been different based on difficulty. If I would have gone in there and said like I'm playing normal or hard, I would have had a much different feeling. So I'm glad I played it on the difficulty I did to experience the story and experience what that game is. I have a lot of other takeaways because I did bring my list tonight of things that are similar between said games.
We can do that after the rating, yeah.
We will. So like I have a lot of other takeaways that I don't know have given me strong opinions, but I will say as a whole, I'm glad I played the game. I'm glad we were able to utilize our family, and so not everybody had to buy it. And I'm glad it was a $20 game when I
Same.
bought it, right? Like if it was a $60 game, that might have also changed my feeling. But like I'm happy with all of my decisions that led into this game. With that being said, based on the quality of life, based on the story, and especially the lackluster like end, I would give this game a 5.5 out of 10 as a whole. If you want to round it
Okay.
up to 6, you can say 6 out of 10 is probably
Oh.
where I would put it. And
I'll-
that's all of it.
I'll go next because I want to save Preston's for the end. Because, man, he was having some struggle
Yeah.
moments
Yeah.
that were really funny.
Keep in mind, Night Dive I give a 9, so the quality, that's nothing on the quality of the game. Just the game
Sure.
itself.
Well, the quality of
story
the
and-
remake, like the
Right,
the
the
remake.
remake.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I won't. I mean, I don't know if I give a score. I will say I also want to show. I think that studio did a great job.
No.
It was very cool to see the way that they decided to go about doing the remake with like mixing a little bit of old and giving it new and sort of trying to maintain the soul of the art design while also bringing it forward. I think was really really like ambitious and cool. And if you're gonna play System Shock, I think this is probably the version to play.
Oh yeah.
The only way to play.
Yeah.
It's the
I-
only
I
way you
would-
should play.
I saw the inventory
it's a
in
lot
the
like-
first one. Yeah. Whew.
It's a lot like it's how it's an easy recommend for like Shadow of the Colossus or Resident Evil 4 remake, where it's like
Don't
there's no
bother.
reason.
Yeah.
Like
The new stuff.
these new versions improve as far as like just a feeling. They are better. Like it's just the way that you need to experience the game. It's the better way to do it. That being said, so I'm rating this on a scale. I'm putting myself back of its peers. Right. It's not fair to, I think, compare it to like a Dishonored
contemporaries.
or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's like the immersive sim genre wouldn't be a thing without System Shock. So it's not fair to compare it to games that have came out now. It was also made way back in the fucking day, so, you know. But, with all that being said, I'm comparing it to games that came out at the time. And on the one hand, it's a lot more ambitious than a lot of those games. Your Dooms, your Quakes, or adventure games were very, very focused. Like, which is why they worked as well as they did. Like, Doom and Quake could also be just as obtuse as, or like Wolfenstein could be just as obtuse as this game sometimes. But the problem is, but once you learned the single objective that you're trying to achieve, it was the same through every single fucking stage. So like once you figured out in Doom or Wolfenstein or whatever, like what it is that you're doing, that repeats all the way until the game is over, right?
It does.
And because of that, it lowers the scope way down so that as soon as the player knows, it goes, okay. Like Doom teaches you basically everything that it needs to teach you in that first level. I'm going to be looking for key cards, and I'm going to be getting to an elevator. However that happens, I know that I might have to start scraping some walls, I might have to start clicking in random places, I might have to be doing all sorts of goofy shit, but at the end of the day, I'm looking for key cards, and I'm looking for elevators. That's it. That's all I'm doing. This game does not have that by virtue of it being, it's trying to, you know, inadvertently or on purpose. I really don't, I'd love to, know, but it's creating a new genre. And in that, there's a lot of ambition there, but there's also a lot of fucking really annoying missteps that happen that I'm not even talking about like should have been updated for this remake, but because I understand trying to keeping it the same. But even if I'm somebody who's looking at this game and comparing it to its contemporary, I'm like, okay, it's very ambitious and it's doing a lot of things that other games don't do, but also some of these things don't work. Like, I'm thankful that it's a new idea and that you're trying something new, but this doesn't hit. So we need to go back to the drawing board on this one. And obviously that happens as the genre progresses. That being said, I'm firmly where Alex is at. I'm at a 5.56. If I was going to, I'm going to probably start using the rating scale that I use on GG since I go through all of those. Yeah. So for GG, I'm hovering at a 2.5 or a 3 out of 5.
Sure.
I think that that's firmly where it's got to be at. It's definitely not as good as anything out that came out around the time. At the same time, there's nothing else like it that came out at that time. Yeah. So, big shout outs to the ambition. It clearly kickstarts a genre, but there's just a lot of things that miss for me in that design.
Sure.
Yep. All right. So, in my brain, I started out super low for this game. There's a lot of things you gotta bring into it, like these gentlemen have said. Again, we'll say it over and over again, Deep Dive does fucking phenomenal jobs on remakes and remasters. I personally...
Or Night Dive.
What's that?
Night Dive.
Night Dive, I'm sorry. Night Dive.
You're
and I would have wanted them to make some choices on this as far as more details in the map as far as what you can select on and see what's in there. Maybe hover over the elevators to show you where those elevators go. Things like checkpointing. There were technical mission objective checkpoints on there, but they're kind of hard to tell what you wanted. And sometimes when you did those check marks just kind of stayed there. So you didn't know what to do next. A better way of logging the audio logs, because the audio logs that you get when you look at them in the list, you can do it
just separated by floor.
You can do it by floor, but also there's a date on them. Those dates are for the date in the future that they were created, not for the date that you found them. So it's really hard to find out. Like, for example, I forget which one I was looking for, but I'm like, okay, well, I need to find this audio log to find out what I was meant to do, because I can't remember what I was meant to do. And
you should just Google it immediately.
I know, but like, let's take myself back to the fucking day, all right? So
You shouldn't have to do that. I agree.
I shouldn't have to do that. I should be like, okay, well, at least like mark them for when I got them.
Yep.
Right. So I'm looking through like all like the ones in the reactor, whatever, and I'm trying to find where I'm supposed to be going. It's not easy to do. It's because of the fact it's a remake and not just a remaster. Okay, Dark Force is remastered. There's some bullshit in there, but it's a remaster of that game, right? So of that era, there's some horse shit in that game. I love the game, but I'll sit here and tell you it's not the perfect game, and there's some bullshit choices made because it was a smaller game and limited on what they can do. Kind of same thing with this one, but this was remade. They should have taken those caveats to like help make it more modernized. Sure, if you want to put on the harder difficulties to have the more true experience of the game, I can kind of understand why you wouldn't want to put a difficulty setting in there. But we're all putting it on me and Alex were putting it like on pretty much casual difficulties and being like, I just kind of want to get through this. I just want to have a fun time and kind of experience what this game's all about. Maybe it's in the story. But we're still beating our head against the wall because of the way that this game is designed in general. Not by Deep Dive, not by Night Dive, but just by the original creators. I looked at a comparison video today as far as what they did with inventory. Like when you put a gun in your inventory, it put the name of the gun. Like there was no, if you want to reload, you had to go down and click on an icon below like your gun icon to be able to reload your weapon. There's a lot of things that they did improve.
You had to go from free move of your character into an inventory move to interface, and then you had to go back to free move. So you couldn't just even you had to switch completely the way you move around.
So I have to give them some props as far as points wise on how much they did improve upon this game. I just think there should have been done a little bit more, just to help out the modern age of how you play a game, especially a game so limiting on what they give you as far as objectives and things. Because there's zero objectives as far as like what is shown to you, like as far as check marks. Like it's literally in the audio logs. It's literally the last thing of audio you heard as far as what someone told you to do or what someone is going to be doing, like Shodan.
And that's if you found that audio log.
That's if you found an audio log. Now, with the Shodan, like she'll just come on and talk to you sometimes. But like there's plenty of those audio logs that would tell you a key code to a door, or would tell you what you need to be doing as far as how to get the reactor, stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that I just felt like they could have been a little bit more improved upon, like add a little extra to that to make it more modernized. That would have made it a perfectly fine game for me. And then you have decisions on how some of these things are designed with the elevators. You have things about going back to like what the game was back in the day. You have the final boss design, the bosses in general, which I feel like we all just popped on the Berserker patch. We all just ran up to it and a couple of swings on it. Like, what are these boss battles? And then you get to the final showdown with Shodan. And you're up there, I'm like, okay, this is going to be cool stuff. Like, Christian says, not what you think it's going to be. Like, okay, let's see what we're going to do. Like, is it going to be like a hacking world? Is it going to be us, like, just shooting stuff? Or, like, I thought, like, in my brain, there was going to be this cool, like, room that is full of wires and shit. And in the center would be, like, this main, like, area to where, like, you would have to go in there and hack it maybe. Maybe enemies would come at you there. If you're going to do the hacking situation to where you're, like, that floating little whatever the fuck you are, I'm like, okay, we'll make it a big world. Like you're kind of doing like a Star Fox kind of thing, to where you got this big head in the middle. You're kind of shooting that, maybe hitting points. Like these are all these cool ideas. What happens when you get there? It is on foot, first person in the hacking world. They give you a couple different guns. It's kind of neat, but you only get to use them there, and you only get to use them for that platform for that one time until you get that fucking literal slingshot where you walk up. You can't even aim it or anything. You just walk up to it. It starts an animation, it slingshot that little fucking golden thing at the pillar, and it's like, okay, cool, do that like 2 or 3 more times. Like, that's it? Like, yep. Cool. And so, even the last one that I had there, I'm sitting there, I'm like, why is it not shooting that laser down me to hit this last pillar? There was one enemy that was just hanging out, like, in the end of this level, to where you can't see it unless you're, like, searching around the edges of the level, which they should be coming at you in the first place, if you're close enough to them. And then, of course, I kill myself. And luckily, they are checkpointing you at these little pillars. Luckily. So if I had to restart that,
Preston,
I would have been super pissed.
Preston, you are lucky, just so you know. Because if you would have died one more time, like if your health goes down, if you would have died one more time, you have 3 chances. Yeah, you would have had to restart the whole section over.
Glad that didn't happen. I would have pissed.
Yeah, Alex was struggling to not tell you that. And I was like, I was on a call when this was happening, but I was watching it and I was just listening. And I could hear Alex being like, yeah, you know, oh, don't worry, you respawn. Well, and then he like stops and so he's like, no, I'll just shut up. And he like doesn't say anything. And I was like, oh, dude, if Preston hits this limit, I was like,
There was one time, Christian, I don't know if you're on or not, but I forget what we were talking about. But Preston said something. It's like, oh, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I was just real quiet. I didn't say anything for like 10 seconds. I was like, maybe. I just left it.
This usual boss logic of just you hit the boss 3 times and you're done. He's like, maybe. I'm like, okay, he's not going to tell me shit. Like, all right, let's see him go through it. I mean, so thinking about it, like, I do want to compare it to its actual peers and not modern day stuff, but this is a remake. This isn't a remaster. Mm-hmm. So it should have been remade for modern days, I personally feel. Now, the people who really loved the game back in the day, they probably just wanted a more modern version to where it looked great, and they did that 10 out of 10. Like that. In comparison, it looks phenomenally different, looks fantastic.
There's arguments to go both ways, right? Because I know what you're saying, but also, like, when they remade Shadow of the Colossus, if they had have changed that game, I would have rioted because it's a perfect game.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're not going to change the game because they would piss off the people who are actually buying it to play the old game, just a better looking, modernized version.
Yeah,
there's different ways you can modernize it. You modernize the look, maybe a little bit of the inventory to get past some frustrations and limits of those times. But as far as the overall gameplay and what you got in the end, a lot of people would want to have the same thing.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't like. I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of immersive sims, and I'm not a fan of a lot of decisions they made with the story, as far as like especially the ending boss battle. Okay. Now there are levels I did enjoy. I did enjoy security. I thought it was very cool. It was very Dark Forces feeling to me, like dark grays, dark blacks. The verticality of it all. Like I'm like, okay, this is really cool. I like this a lot. I'm not confused on where I'm fucking going. I'm going up. Overall, though, if I had to give it a number, let
it out. You can be honest. Don't good guy Preston.
Without really thinking about it, at very first, I was thinking 3 out of 10. Okay. Giving it a little bit more, and with what that company did with this game, I wanted to give it a 5
I'm thinking 3.1.
I was wanting to give it a 5 out of 10. But I think overall, safely for me personally, that studio did a fantastic job on doing a remake of this game. The game itself, I feel, out of overall doing with peers, doing with modern day, whatever the fuck you bring it all together, 4 out of 10.
Okay,
I think it's better than Beyond Good and Evil. I think it's better than The Force Unleashed 2.
It is. Yeah,
this is probably the
we need to. You know what we need to do? We need to compile.
Chart.
And place it and like do that as like a little animation thing. We should totally do that.
I can go
100%.
Yeah, we can do that.
So let me tie this together because Christian is funny. We are very on par with this. So playing this game, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what Night Dive did. But it reminded me a lot of BioShock, which is one of my like top 5 games of all time. Right? Like it's any given day, it can go back and forth. Yes.
So I know this about you. I just want to ask because I know we're about to get into. Mm-hmm. Can you just give me a hint, like just a wink at anything? Did this affect your love for BioShock at all?
I'm going to talk about it.
Oh, shit!
That's a yes.
Oh,
That's a
shit!
fucking yes.
Oh, shit! Okay, all right. I'm locked in. All right.
So BioShock is one of my top games of all time, right? Like Allie has seen me buy this game multiple times in the history of consoles. I bought it on Xbox 360 more than once because when I was poor and I worked at Best Buy, I would buy it, I would trade it in, get a crazy credit because of Gamers Club, buy something else, I'd buy it on sale later, whatever. I've platinumed it. I beat it on the hardest difficulty without using a Vita chamber. All this stuff. I know the dialogue and everything. And I still reference it to this day. Like I'll say like dialogue and whatnot. I fucking love the game. I started to feel very familiar playing this game, and it started with the opening, right when you're flying through Atlanta, the new Atlanta. It is almost a shot for shot to Rapture. Now it changes when you actually zoom in on the hacker, but it even like instead of the squid that swims by in Rapture, it's just some flying cars going at the same angle, same trajectory, right? When you're coming around, you see like other cars and people moving around in the city. It's also like where the Big Daddy would be walking with a little sister like in the game. There's even some places where it focuses on Night Dive, like the big thing. In the game, it is Gatherer's Garden that just like in BioShock, like it's almost like shot for shot, right? So I'm like, all right, interesting, but I get it. Like same sort of studio, what have you. Your main character, you wake up after a time, you have memory loss, and like the whole area's gone to shit. You have mutated enemies. The security camera system is in both games. The hacking game is identical, except one has red power and BioShock
And
is
blue.
neon blue, right? The health packs. How do you get health in BioShock, or how do you get like your
It's
like
the
powers?
bio chambers, yeah.
No. The biochamber is how you come back.
Or
You
sure,
use a
yeah,
syr-
yeah.
You use a syringe.
The syringe, yeah.
Straight up. In this game, you use a syringe. Straight up. The chambers that you have to find and open up are identical to the Vita chambers,
the Vita
like
chambers,
in
yeah.
BioShock. Of course, the wrench in the wrench, having that melee is one of the most powerful items you have. The audio log driven story characters that guide you in the story. The fact that the first person you meet on those audio log also, or first character you meet also happens to be one that betrays you there in the end is also there. The big Doom enemies, the cyber demons, are almost exactly like as far as the way they work and move and their level, like the big daddies, right? The flying enemies, the drones, are in both games. You have little helicopters flying around that shoot machine guns, just like this one. You can hack enemies in System Shock, yeah? Like from a distance, you can hack them and get them to fight like for you for a time. I don't know if you guys did this. Okay,
It's
just so
probably
you
one of the things that
know.
you gather that you don't use ever.
One of those things that you never use on the right hand side when you're in your menu, you can turn it on, and then it shows their health and their weakness. along
Oh,
the top
yeah,
of
yeah,
them.
yeah, yes. Okay, yeah, I remember
If
that.
you
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
if you right click in on the joystick, I know it was on PC, but on controller, you right click in on them from a distance. You can hack them from a distance. They'll fight for you.
Yeah.
Same thing. You can hack people. You can shoot the like berserk powers in BioShock to get people to fight for you. The ending also fairly similar when you're leaving, like just alone. Depending on the ending you get in BioShock, because there's technically 3. The ending is very similar. And then the last one I had was the med bay and Vita chambers. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 distinct things that are almost identical between the games. Which then makes me go,
They both have shock at the end of the name, to be fair. But continue.
so at first I'm like, same studio, same creator for years. I mean, I grew up like until this year playing this game. I always thought like Ken Levine was the driving force because of similarities, because of shock in the name, because he did work for the company. But as we discussed, he didn't come to this game until a few months after it launched. He worked on System Shock 2.
2.
Which
The
then
substantially
makes me,
worse game, by the way.
which then makes me wonder, like,
We'll not find out.
No, but I'm just saying critically.
First of all, Preston, that's what you think, because Night Dive does own the rights to the System Shock 2 remake, and it's to be announced. So,
To be fair, I was going to joke, and when I announced my game, I was going to say we're going to do System Shock 2 to see what your guys' faces look like. I know you guys wouldn't believe me, but still, that would be fun.
Nope, but they are going to announce a remake, so
I'm not playing.
we'll see.
No,
We'll see.
we won't.
So I think, and I get really frustrated, and I go, what does this mean for Ken Levine? Are you a one-trick pony? Are you a thief? Is it maybe the updating? Because here's the other thing. There are some things that were not in the original game. The syringe was not in the original game to get health. You just took a health pack because of the old graphics. It wasn't there. So was it Night Dive that made some of this like BioShock and so on, right? So like I'm in this weird place because a lot of it is in System Shock.
You'd have to go
BioShock.
back and watch a playthrough of the original
Like an entire
game.
thing, and I did some of that for that reason, right? Like the Vita chamber is still there and so on, but like the syringe is not. But the wrench is, the cameras are, the drones are, the audio logs are. Honestly, it might just be the syringe that's not, right? And the hacking game is there, but it looks way worse. So maybe that was Night Dive making the hacking game look similar because it was there, but it was different, right? It's tough. So I only have one other place to turn. Like if that's the case, like you almost have like there's like 3 people in this fight. You have the System Shock team, and you have, of course, Ken Levine, and you have Night Dive. And you're like, where does the answer come? And I think the answer may come from Twitter, which is talking about Judas. Judas
Is
being
Ken
Ken
new game.
Levine's new
A
game.
cyberpunk future, yeah.
as somebody calls it, BioShock in space. Non-linear story structure. Main character has memory loss. Your decisions greatly affect the narrative. And Judas has the ability to regenerate herself even after dying. Now, if I continue to watch, it is a first person. You do have two types of powers between the guns. And it is kind of a spacey but retro look, almost like BioShock 3 should have been after Infinite being in the air. And to me...
Well, Infinite's technically 3, but I know what you mean.
BioShock 2 is a different studio. It's different, right? So
yeah, but it's still canon,
Ken Levine.
yes.
No, he left on that game. He didn't do that game. So
Just because Ken Levine wasn't there doesn't mean that it doesn't have the BioShock name slapped on it and continue the story. But
no, you're right. It is 3, but in Ken Levine's story, right? It would have been 2. So I look at this. I have it up and I read some of these things, and I truly think that Ken is a product of System Shock 2 success. Took all, not most, all of his game design ideas from its predecessor, and then what I can only assume he incorporated into System Shock 2, and then built an entire series off of it. I happen to come in on BioShock, so I love that game, but looking back, it definitely drops it. And I think I'm not going to go back to BioShock soon, but I think I'm going to have to go back to BioShock in the next year or so and see, like, how does this game hit after playing System Shock and knowing all of this stuff. And maybe what I'll do, I'm not going to buy Judas, but maybe I'll watch some playthroughs or watch a Let's Play and get a feeling of Judas and then go back to BioShock with all this in mind and see what I think. But
it'd be like, Ken Levine, you ruined my favorite game for me, you piece of shit.
There are many people in life.
Not that he's a piece. I don't know him, but
he doesn't seem like the
Probably
nicest.
not far off, yeah.
No, I'm just saying.
But he doesn't have any real scandal, so I'll give him that, I guess.
Yeah.
There are many people in life that get ahead by taking other people's ideas as their own. Mm-hmm. And it just feels different. It just feels different now after playing this. There are just way too many things that aren't even like similar, are flat out identical. Flat out identical.
No iteration.
And that is frustrating. With that being said, as I saw the tweet and I was looking at other stuff about Night Dive Studios and just into them, I will watch this week the owner of Night Dive, or the guy that created the studio. I think his two brothers, Stephen Kick and Alex Kick. One of them did an interview for No Clip with Wire about the studio, and I think they were in production for System Shock. I will definitely go watch that interview or documentary with No Clip this week, just to see what they have to say and how that even changes my opinion. But like I said, I enjoyed my time with it. Night Dive did a great job. It actually affected my feeling towards one of my other favorite games. So that's brutal.
Wild.
It's brutal.
That sucks.
Crazy.
It just, like I said, and the crazy thing is too, like, I don't want to be this tinfoil hat guy, but like I can't find anybody talking about it online other than somebody goes, "Oh, Judas, BioShock in space," and then the developer of this game came out and replied to the tweet and was like, "I should have thought of that." And it's like, well, first of all, let's be careful throwing stones here, guys, because you're just buying the rights to games that nobody owns anymore. But you're not wrong. Like it's identical. Nobody's talking about that. So I go, am I the crazy one? But no, like I know BioShock so well, and I'm playing this game now that like it's not similar. It's fucking identical. Even the design of the cameras. If you look at the design of the cameras from the old game, they're just little gray boxes because the game was like 1997 or 1 or whatever we said, right? The cameras to the new ones, that's so goofy to say, are like little circles at the top with a little arm, and then they get bulbous. If you add a couple of like 1950 TV retro lines to the side of that is literally the camera from BioShock.
This is where the closet door behind Alex opens up, and it's like Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny with all the fucking Pepe Sylvia lines everywhere.
It's just trying to balance, like, what came first, the chicken or the egg. I believe that all of the story beats and all of the game design came from Ken Levine taking directly from
What came
Shock.
first, the chicken or the egg? And then you find out that it was Ken Levine behind the whole thing, convincing you that he came up with the chicken and the egg.
Right, but like he took directly, but it's like then I look at the, like I said, the camera, the hacking, and go, is that just Night Dive thinking like me that Ken Levine is so involved? We're gonna make it look like the Shock series, BioShock, and I think there's a little part of that, but you still can't take the essence out of what these things are, and the essence of the game of BioShock is taken directly from System Shock, not even borrowing, not even trying to be different. It's just like, what if we went underwater? So. Yeah, there's that.
All right.
Anyway, with that,
I'm
Preston.
gonna go cry now. What's the next game?
Preston, you are up next, my friend.
Yes, sir. So I've already said before. Now, to be fair, next week we're going to do D&D, so that'll be that. We have 2 weeks to kind of catch up and get ready for this next game. But after that, we're going to start Ghostbusters, the video game remastered. So this is a remastered version of the game that came out earlier. This is technically the third movie, or the script that was going to be for the third movie, obviously put into video
it's
form,
canon.
so changed. So it's canon.
And
Yeah, we'll have to get Christian to watch the second Ghostbusters before then too, as well. But once we do that, he'll
I
be all cut
got
up.
2 out. Yeah, I can knock that out.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, might even do a date of it, so who knows.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we're going to do that. We're going to do new Ghostbusters game. We're going to try the remastered one just because it looks a little nicer. But from what I hear, nothing's really changed on it. We are going to do levels 1 through 3. We're going to stop after you finish Public Library. So this should be roughly. I mean, I was looking at essentially. I'm using a walkthrough on YouTube. It's a 100% complete walkthrough, so they're going to do everything in the game, and then those levels are usually around half an hour to 45 minutes a piece, depending on how much you actually look around. So probably an hour and a half to 3 hours, depending on how much you try to look around and do all the extra stuff. But
Neat.
it's a lot of fun. I remember it being really great, but I also remembered The Force Unleashed 2 being really great. So let's see how we do.
it is. Christian and I talked about this the other day, and when I was walking the dog, and we just happened to be Discord together, we will have to dive into this one day. But it's how nostalgia affects your memory and how it affects like people that are like, oh my god, I remember System Shock looking identical in my head canon, identical to the way System Shock looks today. They look completely different, but like how immersed you were in 97 and the technology at the time, you're like, yes, it is exactly the same. And then you go and you're like, this is not exactly the same. How?
So
why
I
do
mean,
remember
like I
it
said,
that way?
I
It's
just the
crazy.
playthrough. It's the game, the Ghostbusters game. It still looks good, and it's
Yeah.
all the original cast voice acting. So everyone is back for it. So I mean, it's going to be good voice acting, decent script, and it's going to be pretty good. I think pretty good looking graphics. So obviously we're excited to go into it. So we'll do that 2 weeks from now.
Cool.
Cool.
All right. Well, I'm excited about both of those things coming up, D&D and Ghostbusters. But it has been a long night. I know Preston said he's hungry. Thank you all
Yeah.
for hanging out. And if you played this game, I'd love to hear what you thought. Otherwise,
sorry.
Preston, you know what to do.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jake, I don't hate your book series.
Humans interfacing with computers.
For their own entertainment. The very notion disgusts me.
Look upon my works, foul creatures.
And weep at its magnificence.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If watching is more your thing, check out youtube.com/thetestingroom or Twitch TV/testingroompod. To leave comments and ask questions, follow us on Instagram @testingroompod and email us at testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.